Did I hear you? I'm sorry?
But yeah, it's just.
Session.
I could start.
No, I don't think so.
Same set of grades over. I thought it was free for nothing. Well. Yeah, it's about the eye doctor. He was.
Yes.
Alrighty, it's new. I'm gonna call it the window order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for doing that. Roll call, please, Jessica.
Lassiter,
Here.
Nemecheck,
Here.
Farrell,
Here.
Moody,
Here.
Richard,
Here.
form present.
Alrighty, before moving on, I'm gonna give the floor over to Kyle for an introduction of the planning and zoning administrator. It's these. If you don't mind, just so then everyone that's tapping in on broadcast can hear you guys. Perfect.
All right, good afternoon. Everybody's noticed our new smiling face around here, Abdul Aziz Lawal. He goes by Aziz. He's my new partner in the planning and zoning department. He comes to us by way of Minneapolis, St. Paul, where he was doing an internship out there. Prior to that, he finished up his master's at Virginia Tech. I don't think they just let anybody walk out of Virginia Tech with 4.0 on geography and GIS systems, so he's got a lot of good information coming to the table, and he also has a degree in planning, urban regional planning, from his homeland in Africa and Nigeria. So he's got a very diverse background, and I think he comes in with a really cool, fresh lens. He's been really fun to get used to get comfortable with to this point. In his apartment, which we said housing is the big issue. Somehow he had 3 days fun place to live. So he used, I think, ChatGPT or something like that. Got a place to live, but we're excited to have him on board. If you guys want to introduce yourselves, I know this is his first official mission meeting, and the process was long, trying to narrow it down in terms of how we selected, who we selected, and we had a tremendous amount of applicants this time, ranging from somebody that works downtown here to people with master's degrees and further. So it was a neat pool, really competitive, but we ended up choosing Aziz because of his, his aptitude to learn and that upward mobility. We're looking at growth. He is fresh to it, so he's in training, but he's got a different lens on things, and he questions me every day. So he keeps me in check, and I'm learning a lot so far. Last week was his first full week here. And I look forward to having it, but this is Aziz. Everybody welcome him. You want to tell them about yourself or introduce yourself a little bit?
Thank you, everyone. My name is Abdulaziz. Well, I go by Aziz, and I have a master's degree in geography from Virginia Tech. And I also had the opportunity to work as an engineering intern with the city of Minneapolis. I'm excited to be here. It's been tremendous working with the employees with the city of Point City. I've been given a soft landing by my colleague Carl.
Our stuff starts next week.
It's been very helpful in settling down and also learning about the environments, the working environments, and also the job roles. So I'm really eager to contribute my expertise in GIS and also to assist to ensure that the planning is well coordinated within the city of Point. So I'm excited to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I had the opportunity
to meet Aziz at the State of the Community, the other week, I don't know, it was 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, my timetable's all messed up. Great conversation. I would just like to say, I really appreciate Kyle. Because that day that I met Aziz, that was his third day here. He drove from in Minnesota with all of his personal belongings he owned in his car. And Kyle took it upon himself to try and help him that weekend, secure some furniture and just some common household good items. So I really appreciate that, Kyle. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 4, consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any items on the consent agenda be removed and placed as the last item under new business to receive full discussion. Such requests will automatically be respected. Is there a request from city staff? From the public? From the commission? I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Sorry.
There's a motion on the floor, supported. Further discussion. One comment I would just like to add is Pam is here from the Women's Resource Center. She did provide some material that city clerk and treasurer Jessica Pearl has that material, so we will get that material distributed and put down in our little public notification table and bulletin board. So thank you for that, Pam. So motion supported. Anything else for discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Richard,
Aye.
Lassiter.
Aye.
The motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to public comments. This is for non-agenda items. If you would like to make public comment, just please come to the podium, state your name and address, and you're limited to 5 minutes. City clerk treasurer will be taking time. Once that timer goes off, I won't immediately cut you off, but I will just ask that you start transitioning into the conclusion of your comment at that time.
Good afternoon, Ron Crozier, 1121 Crozier Crest, Twin City. 49712. I'm here on two different things. One is that just to let everybody know that especially the commissioners, we submitted a letter, homeowner committee decided to submit it to give you an idea of the different things that we do at the memorial that we've done for the last 17 years. And it's just basically, you know, and everybody except for I think a couple people signed that was on the committee because they were either absent or so on and so forth. And if you have any questions, feel free at any time to get a hold of me and I will go over anything with you and so on and so forth. But also, as you guys can see, Tim Nemechek's name was on there. I met Tim when he came to town years ago. And he has been on the committee ever since then. And so he's our advisory for the committee. And he helps out when he can, just like all the other committee members do. And if anybody wants to help, this Sunday at 9 o'clock, we are having a work bee at the memorial to clean up for the winter. So feel free to come, bring a shovel, rake, so on and so forth. The other thing I want to touch base is that we've been trying to get this redo the STAR program. Problem with the slate finally came. So if it's not started next week, it will be the week after. And Eli will let you know. And if there's any problems, I'll let you guys know and we'll go from there. And if anybody has any questions, they can give me a call anytime. Thank you and have a blessed day. Oh,
Well, there's a document here
yes.
that's not in our packet.
I'll speak to that. That is a letter that I received yesterday when I came for our close special meeting yesterday. I actually did not open it, even though I grabbed it from my mailbox last night, until about 2 hours prior to the meeting starting up here at the Park View room is when I finally opened it as I was preparing for today's meeting. As soon as I opened it, it's got some legal terminology and language in there. I just quick direct, like. Just looked over it, didn't read it in detail. I went down, had Becky make me copies for each commissioner, so you all walked into a copy of it. Jessica, the city clerk treasurers are also given a copy to share with the city manager and the city attorney. I would say depending on what the city attorney's responses to that would be determining a factor if we should enter this as correspondence at a future meeting.
Right? Because it speaks to a legal issue and a deadline, so. Thank you.
Anyone else for public comment? Moving on from public comment to correspondence. In our packets, we have two items, Arbor Day Foundation, Charter Communications. We also, I think, all received a letter that Mr. Crozier just indicated to, received on September 19th. And I think Jessica's already indicated that this will be added as correspondence at a future meeting because they received it after the agenda went out on Friday.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments, concerns in regards to any of the correspondence? No. Alrighty, moving on from correspondence to agenda item number 7, city manager's report. John, I'll give you the floor.
Thank you, commissioners. Good afternoon, everyone. So just want to highlight some of the changes. On the harbor section, there are concerned about some of the slip movements to right size the current vessels, the seasonal ones into other harbors. So there's a letter in the back that outlines some of that.
John,
Yeah.
excuse me, is the letter that's in the packet from last week different than what's in the packet that was put in our baskets last night?
It should
Is
be,
the city managers, is it the same?
is it this? Yes,
Okay. thank you.
yes. I'm just updating things that changed, but it
Okay.
is the same thing that's in the
Thank you.
packet. Thank you for the clarity. Yeah, so on the signage, what I found out for the Bourne City signage is it is some of the materials are in. So the manufacturer expects to have them done either next week or the week thereafter. And the contractor, which is Stonefly, will also install the signs. The steps, so the stairs to the water's edge, since John Street's complete, Bay Street is going to, because the season's just about over. And we do want to look at some of the concerns we have with the seawall. So they're just going to place them there and not install them. There are not any other steps done, and we discussed having that flip up, where once it's in, DPW just needs to go flip the steps over. We met with the company, and they said that would not be a problem. There's no significant change in the pricing to do that. So Jennings and I went out there and met with them, also with Darcy, since he's the one who would be responsible for the team installing and removing those steps. The fire department, the fire hose testing checked out, according to the chief, all good. Couple of issues with just a couple of hoses, but he said nothing emergency wise, it's all good. We're still working through the fire alarm process as well. It says it remains in process. We are still looking at soliciting quotes. There seems to be a lot of fingers in that pot, so trying to determine what is where. And last time there was the building is not not without an alarm system for the fire department. So we had thought that it is not. There's a couple of different services, hence unwrapping or untwining that spider web to figure out who has their fingers in what system. And that's ongoing right now. The DPW for the Windmuller, this River Pump 3 station has just been ongoing. It's been Windmuller that's been causing the delay and continuing to push back times. The problem is, my first impulse is, where's there another contractor? But they're the ones that have been involved with all of our SCADA systems to manage our sewer operations. So it's really important that they come in and prove that pump is fully operational. I'm told Wednesday. I have marked my calendar. The city and planning, Moxie is still working on the reports. They did not say there were any big issues on it. Commissioner, I did let them know that I missed the base rent when I put that the Excel sheet. Thank you for pointing that out. They didn't see there were any big issues. What they're still doing some, I wouldn't say their due diligence, but they're again, no major issues with the contracts. They just need a little bit of time to go back through them. The airport. It says we're soliciting crack sealing. We just got them yesterday. Those are in the packet right now for discussion. The installation of the new fuel system, I'm gonna bring that up at the airport advisory board meeting, which is tomorrow, or sorry, Thursday night. So hopefully we'll be able to go through that, make some decisions. We do have a couple of new recruits. I've been trying to get some additional members since we are now down to one member on the advisory board. So we have two individuals that live in Boyne city limits, and an additional one who is a hangar, it rents a hangar, but lives in East Jordan. So that would be also an ex officio position. The trees, this has also been, once they started pulling trees down, it's difficult to know what tree was where. I can appreciate that this is another dollar amount back in this well. It's in the packet. This should literally be everything finished on the west end of the runway. I've received feedback from multiple pilots. It is not, by the way, complete with the LiDAR maps, but according to the my MDOT aeronautics officer, that LiDAR does go pretty far out for the type of airport that we are. What we've proposed and what we've been doing should be fine. He wasn't so much concerned with the east end of the runway and the trees there. If you've ever visited, there are some high power lines out there, and the trees right now are, you know, at or marginally above, but they're further away than they were on where the trees align Boy Street between Rockaway and Thompson. So when they come back out, once this last section of trees is done, and they go ahead and mow those down inside the fence line, I'm going to reschedule the aeronautics officer. I have a pretty good feeling we'll be able to leave that word provisional out, and beyond the crack sealing and these remaining trees, anything else maintenance wise would be pushed into the next fiscal year, and that will be worked into the capital improvement plan as well. And those are the only changes to that. There was a in there CWSRF project schedule, and like anything else with the construction, weather, equipment delays, manpower, rescheduling, retooling, that actually changed the very next morning. I did update things into it as I could, but I am, and I know the DPW superintendent Doug is also involved directly with the engineers, with the project managers on scene, and then we've both been readily available and speaking to multiple residents as their streets are coming online. Commissioner Pritchard, I actually met with you as well to ensure that the plan for your property was also going to work well. Is there any questions, commissioners?
Before going to the board for deliberation, is there any public comment, questions, concerns in regards to agenda item number 7? Closing public comment, going to the board for deliberation. Any comments, questions, concerns from the commission? Go ahead.
Yeah, John, the first one on back to the airport, why are we moving the trailer parking for the marina for Jen and them here? The whole part of the whole reason why we did the gate for safety, but it was also for, you know, this marina parking thing. And so we're gonna have no check and balance now for the marina parking, and especially if we're taking them up to the water department, the old water department building, I should say, because there is no, you know, other than sending Jen up there every day to see if there's a trailer park there. This was a great check and balance, and you know, I wouldn't be in agreement to that. We talked a lot about that on the airport advisory board, and it's of no significance to the airport. It's never bothered anything, and so I don't think that's a good move. The other question I had was the DTE, the gas valve easement. You said site plan, are we moving forward with Main Street, or?
I'll take them one question at a time. To answer the first one, the airport advisory board is in favor of not having the trailers. That taxiway, it is considered an active taxiway that they, you know, as they move along to park the trailers back there. When the MDOT officer came and inspected, well, it wasn't an inspection, it was a casual review without, just to give me some advice on what we would need to accomplish. He had concerns about the activity that was down there and those boat trailers being parked back there. It just so happens at the same time, there were also some very large camper trailers back there. And while he came on site, these campers were outfitting their trailer to go camping for, somewhere for the weekend, which that drew concern. That drew some concern. So I don't know, I don't recall if there was consensus to move it, but we would have the winter season to, discuss options for parking. If it is the commission's decision to reinstate or put those, allow for the trailer parking, that would be up to you commissioners.
Well, as an airport board, we never agreed on any campers being parked up there. We agreed on the Lions trailer and the Rotary trailer. And-
Those two are fine.
Yeah.
So we're talking about the boat trailer.
No, I understand that. I understand it. I said, I don't know what you're talking about campers. I don't know who allowed a camper in there. That never should have happened. That's this is why we went over on the airport advisory board, even the, how the hangars are supposed to be used and occupied. So that's a big concern. I don't know how they got up there. Never should have been there. So, we got demerits for something that never should have happened. As far as the boat trailer parking, Jen, can attest to the fact that it's not a highway. They don't go in and out, 3 and 4 times a day. A trailer gets parked there at the beginning of the summer, typically. And then at the end of the summer, it gets picked up or there's one there for a month or maybe a couple of weeks. So it's not a ton of traffic. And I think that needs to be relooked at. But whoever's camper was there, shame on us, shame on them.
He had equal concerns with both the boat trailers and the campers going in and out.
No campers, I understand.
But again, we can evaluate some other alternative locations for that. What was the other question?
The
The DTE.
The DTE, yes, sir. So when this was brought to the commission, it was really to get my intent was just a straw poll vote to say, is there interest? Would this be something worth spending time and energy to move forward on? It sounds like it would be something if it follows the proper channels. The proper channel is for them to provide a site plan, for it to go through planning and zoning, make sure planning and zoning is good with everything. And then at that point, if they approve it, have all the questions answered, then the full packet of materials with site plans and everything could be brought before this commission. I've asked the DTE, is there any other options? I drove by, took photographs and took them to the property that you had mentioned, Commissioner. And they did look at it and they said that also would not be acceptable, whether they, bought the property or not. So there's still some concerns, but they're struggling on giving us a site plan. So I don't know that we can take it anywhere if Kyle and Aziz don't have the materials they have to put together something to bring to the planning commission. So we're at this chicken or the egg position with them, but I have told them what we need. Kyle has told them what we need, and then we'll get it on the planning commission if they can provide those documents. And at that point, we'll bring it to this commission.
Anyone else?
Just one thing real quick. I guess it's gonna be a good of the orders topic, but I guess kind of for Denny too. I think we've had a couple of, well, at least one fireman retire, Dave Wilson,
Yes.
and Wayne Gerberding is shortly. Are we gonna,
Repeat that, please.
Wayne Gerberding is retiring shortly from the fire department. I would like to look at doing something to honor those guys for their service. If possible, I think that would be, they deserve it, so. Okay.
Yeah, I think I would support that. Another commissioner support that.
Yes.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Backing up, you mentioned the ladder truck still has issues. I thought we had that repaired. And we paid money to have it repaired.
Yes, we did, and they came back again. There's still an issue with the articulation. It's not coming all the way down and resting. So there is somebody that the chief is working with to get a final remedy. It is, I did ask him, does that mean it's not functional for fire support? It is, it's just in the way that it tucks back into the rig.
Who performed the services?
That I don't know, Judge.
CSI do services to start with. They thought they had it fixed, we had it back out again when they came and tested it. It's not operational when it's coming back down, right? Everything else is working, coming down. I got a hold of the, who we bought the truck from, Roger from Toy. We're looking into the Nebraska right now, they're getting Netherman. He thinks it could have something to do with one of our boards. But there's like 3 or 4 different boards on there, so we're looking at something, come and test it, to make sure we buy the right boards. Otherwise, you could have $7,000-10,000 wrapped up in boards with it. Want to make sure we got the right ones.
No, that happens quickly, and I guess I'm concerned about, we paid for a service that now we are potentially facing another bill as opposed to CSI. So what are we doing with regard to warranty of workmanship?
At this point, we're just still trying to work something out.
Have we made any claim to CSI about their workmanship or gone on record with any letter whatsoever that says we're not happy?
And at this point, we haven't, because we're trying to find out when it is, so we can get back with them on it.
It's usually a good idea to go on record to let a warning sign be known and
At the
hopefully,
same time, they didn't just work on that, they did other work.
not just. Okay, well, that concerns me. Services paid for, services rendered, and we aren't deep pockets. Can you clarify what you mean by the issues with the pump house and windmill?
Yeah, so the pump has been installed. The windmill needs to go and just make sure that the SCADA portion of that is properly functioning. DPW wastewater will they'll run test runs on the pump, ensure everything is proper. At that point, Mr. Heiss will come back, finish a couple of things that need to be done, and the system's done. It's live.
Well, you disparaged them a little bit there, and I'm concerned about that because they're known to be a good company, and I'm hearing, if I'm not mistaken, a status that's the same as it was before.
Correct, which is why I pointed out to the commission that it's not anyone on the Boyne City team that's causing the delay. The dates have been continuously promised and moved back. So there's a certain level of frustration with everyone on the Boyne City team with getting this accomplished.
Okay, so what I'm hearing you say is it's been scheduled and then they've reneged on their scheduling day.
They've rescheduled.
Okay,
Continuous.
point being, it was gonna be X date, moved, and that's where the frustration is. There's never really a question about it.
Correct.
So the bottom line is that Windmillers delayed us by not prioritizing or following through on what they promised to do.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and so the Heisey has to come behind on that. Okay. The harbor switch delayed till when now?
Still to be determined. That I can't tell you. Again, frustration level is high. At this point, the harbor is going to be closing down on October 15th. That is something that we continuously check on. The harbor master is always checking where is it, any idea of when it's going to be here. Electricians are ready to finish everything up upon receipt of that.
Who is the vendor on that?
The vendor for the switch, I do not know.
The contractor?
The electrician, and of course,
It's it's like the HE one that
Okay,
freshman team.
okay. Just to be clear on the Water's Edge stairs, it says they will be delivered to the lot. I thought we had them all.
no, there was one set that was still sitting at the business, and we went and inspected it. It's ready. We, like I said, we had Darcy from the DPW come out there. and look at it, because there was a question, can it easily be changed to articulate the steps? And it could be, and in Darcy's opinion, because they are gonna be lifting and moving them, it's not worth it right now. Let's go ahead and just deliver it, so it's in position for installation in the spring. But when I was there, we did note there's a potential issue with the seawall, so I would like to get somebody out there to, just to look at it to see if there's any concerns of failure.
I was just trying to get clarity because I thought they had all been delivered from your previous report.
No, I never said they were all delivered, I said they were being scheduled.
Okay. Trees, you're mentioning that it's not complete with the LiDAR map.
No, so, and this is something that I met with when I spoke to the MDOT instructor. I'm sorry, the MDOT officer, aeronautics officer. The LiDAR map would have us essentially clear cutting all the way down these streets, and the type of airport that we are and the level of service that we provide and the aircraft that come, it doesn't need to be that far out. So when we walked with the properties, he identified which sections needed to be accomplished, as well as some of the trimming around all the lights and signs, which has been accomplished. And the DPW is now clearly understands what needs to be done on the runway. So when he does come back, I'm hopeful, because again, he didn't seem to have a lot of issues with everything to the east with the power line sections, but they will eventually need to be trimmed.
I just want to speak to the LiDAR map.
Yes.
If we can, please. And the LiDAR map Scott had provided us before he left. And I guess I thought the LiDAR map that we were given was what was required by regulation.
That's what I was told until I spoke with the aeronautics officer.
Okay, so what would be useful, at least to me, is if there is a change to the LiDAR map that we receive another one. And I guess my question is, did we end up cutting down trees and paying for some of those that are on private property that we didn't need to?
No, ma'am, every tree that came down was
Okay,
required.
so we have yet more that need to come down in order to comply with the LiDAR requirements.
There is a potential, but based upon my first meeting with the aeronautics officer, when he comes back and sees what has been accomplished, I believe that we will be able to remove the word provisional, and then we will sit down and address what he believes would be an ongoing maintenance. This is something, because each of the species have a variable growth rate.
Right.
So what we'll do is each year, we'll come in, we'll do an inspection, and we'll do a check and see if there's any additional annual maintenance that needs to move on. So we don't run into this problem that we have today, that all the trees have grown to such a point that is a risk of human life.
I'm just trying to keep it simple. If the regulation says no more than X feet tall, then that should be pretty straightforward. And then the range is the second portion of it. So are there more trees that are too tall that are in the LiDAR zone that we need to bring down?
My suggestion is get this last section done. I will reschedule the aeronautics officer for a visit, and then I'll be able to answer that very clearly.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off, but
That's-
I think we're gonna talk about that at length on 10E. When we talk about the.
Sure.
FAA.
Yep,
Is there any other questions?
no, thank you.
John.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, on the DTE Energy, to be clear, I don't know what Marty had suggested.
Marty had suggested the lot over on Main Street that was too low water table.
Gotcha.
Water issue.
Thank you. Because I do believe their issue is also budgetary, is they told us that they only had $40,000 or $50,000 to work with. And,
We weren't anywhere near that.
you know,
I don't know
so,
what the problem with that's.
okay, thank you. I'm good.
So I had some questions that already got addressed. Just give me a second to transient, I'm gonna continue to call this out just out of appreciation, and it's something I've been really wanting to track just because of the conversations revolve around the marina consistently the last couple of years. We're 35% occupancy rate this year versus last year's 29%, so kudos to the team on that. Another highlighted item I had here that I just want to kind of call out is the Main Street Board approved the donation of 5% of Boyne Thunder proceeds to local nonprofit. The nonprofit has not been identified yet. I think that's, great, phenomenal. Thank you to whoever was courageous enough to bring that conversation to Main Street. I'm glad that it went the way it did. I would just ask that if and when they identify the nonprofit, that there's great marketing material behind it, so we can educate the community on what that 5% funds were and where they went.
They're gonna make it considered that, make it understood next year within the planning process.
Okay. Another one I had highlighted is the 508 Court Street, but I'm gonna wait until we get to that housing topic on 9-8, I think is what I marked there. DTE, Marty already hit that. Kudos, I appreciate you putting this in here. I just want to actually take a moment to recognize Eric for 18 years with the city of Boyne City 18-year anniversary, and then Becky Pennington 3-year anniversary. I mean, I don't interact with Eric as much, but the interactions I've had with Becky have always been phenomenal in the last 3 years. She's been very helpful, very valuable to the team and to me personally with the things she's helped me on. So appreciate those individuals. The last is the memo that came from Jen, thank you, in regards to the Parks and Rec Board Recreation Plan. Is there any way I can get a copy of that printed to be able to review that plan as well? Alrighty, those are all the comments that I had. Did anyone else have anything?
I have one thing, Mayor.
Yeah.
I'd just like the commission to know that before I print any a teammate's name in here, I always ask permission. Some people like to quietly just be under the radar, but I just want you to know that I do receive permission from both of those individuals to put their tenure in time.
Thank you for that practice. If there's nothing else, we can move on from agenda item 7 to agenda item 8.
I didn't have any comments.
Sorry,
It's okay.
Did you?
It's okay. Everything's been covered.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
Moving on to agenda item number 8, reports of officer boards and standing committees. Any comments, questions, concerns? Bob, do you have anything for 8?
No.
Anything else?
I just, it's an observation on our page 28, and it's the summary sheet on the funds, and we're now August 31st in our fiscal year, and showing the cemetery fund, the rubbish collection fund, the marina fund, and the motor pool fund, not their budgets, but their funds are depleted. And my question is that in our forecast to have occurred now?
Do you mean by they're at 0?
Right.
They're at 0. So when just because we budget, say, 175 for rubbish, doesn't mean we're gonna put 175 in there. We're only gonna support it with what it needs. So I'm not gonna just pull 175 from there. If it only needs 150, I'm only gonna give it what it needs.
I'm saying something different, and maybe I'm not understanding it, but when I look at this is when each of these funds start out the year with a certain balance. And we do, in our budgeting process, plan to allocate some of the funds towards their operations, and we've spent down some of those. And I guess I don't recall taking all of these funds to 0. This is separate from the budget. The budget, there's other revenues, other places that would come from. So
So the cemetery and the rubbish don't have fund balances. There's still like
Right,
those funds
straight
are
up
fully
subsidies.
supported by the general fund. So they are always going to start off with a 0 balance. So each month I'm only going to put in exactly what it needs. I'm not going to it's not going to take from the general fund anything extra than what it needs.
okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? All right, I'm not seeing any, so I'm gonna move on from agenda item number 8 to 9-8, city manager continued discussion. Alrighty. So yesterday we had a special meeting with the city commission. And I'll say this, I really don't know how this conversation is gonna go. I will ask each and every one of us as leaders, and this is including myself, I'm speaking to myself as well at this moment. Whatever this conversation is going to organically become, I would just appreciate it if we keep it productive, professional, appropriate. productive. That's the main goal, is productive. Kind of the comments I have on it, and I'll allow each commissioner to weigh in after I make my comments. There's really no action for this agenda item, so it is what it is what it is titled as, and that's essentially just a discussion point. The comments that I'll make is we're still working through the process of getting an authorization release form signed by John Matthews, the candidate. Once we have that completed, then we will move forward with completing the contract negotiation terms. We've presented a contract of employment to Mr. Matthews. He has seen that employment term, the employment contract. He has made a counter offer and some draft edits that have gone to the city attorney for review. And that is essentially what the city commission met yesterday to review that counter offer to the city attorney. So those are the comments that I have. Commissioner Lassiter.
Yeah, I guess I'm not clear, where this puts us with this discussion. I mean, I was there yesterday, obviously, but to reiterate what I said yesterday, would that be the appropriate?
Same one.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, whatever you would like to.
Okay, yeah, I mean, after reviewing the proposals, I'm I still was and still am in favor of setting the cap for the salary at 130,000. I had no interest in the inflation rate, using that for a raise metric for every year. I guess I've never heard of that being used. I guess it is used in federal government, but I've never heard of it being used in my experience. Yeah, I had no problem with the vehicle stipend, the $500 vehicle stipend, or the vacation time. I think those were the high points, what we talked about yesterday that I remember. So that's where I'm at.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Farrar.
We went through a lot of the detail yesterday in the meeting, and the overall compensation, when you start looking at all of the fringes back into it, we as a city have an obligation to be good stewards with what we're given and spending it wisely. And the current situation that we have with Mr. Matthews, he's a contracted employee without any benefits. And as we go into the negotiation for a permanent position, my concern is that we do that knowingly and recognize the value of the fringes as a part of the total compensation package. So there is pieces to be resolved, and I'm confident that we can get there. The process, as it stands, has a number of steps, and I had hoped we could come to this meeting and resolve the contract issues, but we're not there, and that's okay. So that's all I have to.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Pritchard.
I thought we walked out of yesterday with clarity about next steps and timeframes. I thought we were very clear about next steps and timeframes. The counteroffer was exceptionally different than what we had agreed to in multiple sessions. I am most interested in getting best in class credentials, skills, experience for Boyne City to take us forward. When we posted the position, the cap was 130. I thought our contract offer was pretty solid and clearly, well, anyway, what happened with L happened. Is my view. And others that shared it yesterday. That if we are going to go back, if we're going to reconsider what our cap salary is, then the community deserves going back to the marketplace. If you are going to increase the compensation package and perks and salary, you're very likely going to attract a different candidate, a larger batch of candidates than those that we received. So it is my view that that is what this commission agreed to yesterday and should do. There was mention made of a background check release form, and there seems to be some question about when that form was delivered to Mr. Matthews and whether he is willing to sign it. So again, I thought we had agreement on that. Again, I guess I've said what I guess I need to, or I can say it this time. Thank you.
Commissioner Bree. Yeah, I think the mayor let off best what we agreed on. And you know, we do need the background check authorization signed. I guess there was confusion there of some kind. I think Commissioner Farrell summed up, you know, the rest of it quite well. The bottom line is that I personally do not focus. We have to post something. We had to post something that here is the salary range that we're looking at. A negotiated contract is just that. So it's a global aspect. You have salary, you have all the fringes, ancillaries, whatever you want to call it. I think Bob said it best. I think we were, you know, I think we worked close to that yesterday, and I'm hopeful that we move forward in that aspect. If by chance we can't come to a contract, you know, again, I think it is extremely short-sighted to focus only on a salary number, because for the record, everybody in this room probably thinks that Michael Caine was being paid $119,000. In reality, Michael Caine was being paid $179,000. Big difference. So those are all the negotiated. That's that global. So it's not just a salary, it's the entire package. And so there's a lot of gives and takes in the rest of that package. And to Sandy's point, it does go, you know, as any person's job in this room, probably when you applied for a job, it said, you know, commensurate with experience. So Sandy's absolutely right on that aspect. But I think that, not only this commission, not only everybody in this room, but everybody out there listening and our entire community, you know, we're looking at an entire package. There's a big difference between, we want to focus on that one little number. Here it is. Here's your salary. And that is so far from what it actually is. Again, you know, Bob said he's hopeful. I'm hopeful. We're waiting on an authorization. You know, I'm not throwing the baby out with the bathwater. So we'll see where it goes. There.
Thank you. So that's kind of where we're at with it. I'll say this, this commission is currently doing practices that historically, up until 3 years ago, 4 years ago, the city of Boyne City has not experienced before. That's broadcasting equipment. We're streaming on 2 different platforms right now, Zoom, Facebook. We have gone well above and beyond to make this process as transparent as possible. We will continue to do that, because I think we are all in agreement that this is the largest decision that we will make as local legislators in our role as elected officials. And we want to be as transparent as possible. This is not a linear objective. You do not start here and end here. If you need examples, I would encourage you to look at Traverse City right now that's looking for the city manager, and look at municipalities. This process is never a point A to point B process, regardless of what municipality it is. And we want to be transparent in case there is that expectation that this was going to be a simple point A to point B process. What we're doing, I think, is what's called due diligence, and that's what we should be doing as the leaders that we are, for our roles. So please continue to bear with us. I've typed up a memo for the public. I did not want to read it word for word, just out of time sensitivity. I'll make sure that the city clerk treasurer does get that memo. I'll give you a copy of that memo as well if you'd like, Annie. Again, we want to be as transparent as possible through this process, because this is a very, very big decision that will impact every individual within the community. So with that being said, does anyone else have anything before moving on to the next agenda topic? No, sir. Alrighty, I'm gonna move on to agenda item 9B, continued housing discussion. John, there's not a memo in the packet for this. Would you like to start, or would you like me to just start with the question that I had on the city manager's report?
Beyond what's in the report, that's all that I have. So to put a memo, it will be a 2-sentence. I've had conversations with 3 of the individuals on a conference call. As I stated in the management report, they don't have any issues.
Okay.
They're just still going through it.
Any public comment, questions, or concerns? Sorry, just bear with me, commission. I'm gonna back up to 9A. Was there any public comment, questions, or concerns? I don't know if I hit that on 9A, city manager, continue discussion. If not, I'll close that, continue on to that continued housing discussion 9B. Any public comment, questions, concerns for the continued housing discussion 9B? All right, if not, I'll close public comment and go to the board for deliberation. John, one question I had was, at the last meeting, we talked about like a prioritization point system when it comes to local teachers, city workers, so on and so forth. I threw out a couple of times now, I've thrown out, have you been able to find or identify any brownfield agreement terms in regards to the prioritization point system for occupancy? The example review would be the Traverse City Development Agreement language and terms.
I have not put that together yet, but I did speak to Moxie about it. They have no problem with inserting that in there as well.
Okay.
So that is something that I will work through, because that is fair. And one of the things that came up in that housing discussion or the committee meeting with Commissioner Pressure present is sort of floating some of those line items, up and moving them up and down. I think that point system is going to both address what Commissioner Pritchard was her goal, as well as what your suggestion was. So, and again, there was no problem. They didn't see any issue with that. They and that particular clause, there's really no enforcement teeth on it. It's just a good working partnership with the developer to be able, their goal is to fill the facility, obviously. And we believe, and I did share the numbers that you had shared as well with the 1,700, of that. So I think we're going to be able to fill 101 units pretty quickly.
Okay. The other comment that I've consistently made over the year and a half that this has been a topic, specifically going the North Boyne property, is the infrastructure agreement aspect of a brownfield redevelopment agreement. with the legislative law that changed in 2023 for brownfield redevelopment. We can have infrastructure expanded in areas that I believe are not currently being served. And I don't know if that conversation, even though I brought it up multiple times in different meetings from the commission level to the housing committee level. If that piece of that conversation has made it to Moxie yet, have you talked about the infrastructure?
Yes, and they said they're very familiar with that. And then I will be working with Fishback as well.
Okay.
On that. That was your recommendation to get with them.
Yeah,
Because I'm familiar with Brownfield, but not through the TIF system, which the committees you're on are going to be helpful as well for guidance.
yeah, okay. Alrighty, those are the only two questions that I just wanted to repeat, just for public record, get some understanding on who wants to go next. Commissioner Moody?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing exactly, you know, what Moxie is gonna put. So, this is way past where we want to be, but that's not your fault. That's not, it's not anybody's fault. You know, you know, we need this, we need to get this done. And, thanks for continuing to stay diligent on it, and let's try to get this, you know, finalized and put together.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Pritchard?
Thank you for distributing the documents that you so far had negotiated for the reference of the community. We had the second meeting since the committee was formed in February, or no, March of last year. The two citizens, we went out and went to the community to ask for citizen participation. We had our second meeting the other day. I'm going to back up a little bit. We've only met the Moxie team once, and that was when we were reviewing the RFPs in January of last year. And we had a delightful team of young folks that came up because it's a very young group. They are Moxie Development and Realty. After that, we asked for an updated pro forma. We're now 9 months in from when they put their numbers together. That request was refused. We were also told or informed that Moxie wanted to do it in phases. And one of the reasons that we had selected, one of the factors that won us over to Moxie was because they were offering 101 units instead of 41. Obviously, the more the merrier. But they wanted to do it in phases because they felt like they needed to do a market study. And there's data everywhere that already says there's not enough housing. And every day we lose ground to STRs. Both of those things were yellow flags for me. When the committee met the first time, they came away with a request, and this was April or May, I think. The two parties, Jerry Dietz and Alita Rooney, requested they had questions about the proposal. And they requested to meet with the developer. And there was pushback by this commission. I personally am interested in having Moxie come back to us and talk through where they're at, separate and apart from the contract terms. A lot has changed and continues to change in all manner, from prices to availability of federal funds to help with housing, so on and so forth. And I personally think it behooves us to have more due diligence and data gathering with Moxie. In their terms and conditions that John has presented to us, they want 2 years to put together their financing. And the reason for that, I understand, is that there's 4 funding cycles for grant money apparent that occur in the spring, and that's part of their reasoning. my concern is, and then one of the big reasons why I think we need to have a face-to-face and down-to-earth discussion is because every month that passes, every year that passes, the average median income goes up. And that hits our people hard because it's the countywide average median income. So the 60% of AMI or the 80% of AMI now becomes even a bigger issue as more time passes. And I guess I'm looking for creative ways or a healthy discussion also about what, if anything, we can do differently in order to accelerate that schedule, because the purchase agreement is tied to 2 years out and the financials will be very different. I mean, last I knew, I think our AMI was 2023 was 67,000 for Charlevoix County, which is higher than most of the people in the community make. So that is of concern to me, that we need to get back and huddle collectively and have that conversation. In the deed restriction agreement, the base rents that were quoted in their proposal were not included. So I appreciate you having that added to the document. The occupancy restrictions, Tim has talked about a point system that, and had asked on more than one occasion to engage with Fishbeck. And what that would mean is that there'd be literally that for a candidate, for an applicant to receive points for this, employment type or I won't profess to know what it is. What I was alarmed to see in here was that this rank order that was included and is placing first employees who work for the city of Boyne City, second Boyne City school system, third people who are employed by hospitals of Petoskey or Charlevoix, EMS workers, and then open to anyone. I'm really interested in the point system because I don't think anything other, if it is legal, because that's the part that is, we were told by MCC you couldn't do anything about. Anyway, if you're taking any federal funding that you could not restrict. I'm sorry?
They aren't gonna take any federal funding. You're way off on a lot of this.
Well, great, then that meeting would be very productive.
They-
I'm gonna debate with you, okay? I think that the fundamental thing is we need to get, I think this commission deserves for Moxie to come back and speak with us and speak with the committee to talk it through. So it's, you like it or not, 2 years out, maybe all it can be, all it can be. But they have partners that they have to go through that are not Moxie, that are private equity or private individuals that may be able to accelerate the process because they work with Rivet. They work with CD Barnes, which is an external, a downstate construction firm. They have Oosting or whatever the hell his name is, and then this other funding firm. So let's understand what it is, where they're at, and what that looks like. That's my request. Thank you.
Commissioner Farrell.
There's been a lot said in terms of the detail of it. And I would caution us, while I agree with the detail, that we need a developer who's going to work with us. And if we keep moving the bar, or we're perceived as moving the bar, they will not play ball and they will not build here in Boyne City. So I would hesitate to get so far into the weeds that they see as obstructive. In terms of the developer themselves, I think they've been pretty forthright in terms of identifying the changes in their structure and the opportunity or the request to phase the project in, they eliminated the need to phase it based on I'm hoping based on the housing need in this area, because there's no shortage of housing that we can agree on. So I'm hoping that we can get to a point where some of the other issues in terms of discussions, what it looks like, how it's going to impact, I think those are planning related activities, and citizen comments can be brought there. But I don't know that we need to bring them back here unless they've got a project they're going to put on the board and start through planning. It's my 2 cents.
Your shoe lessons.
Yeah, I would agree with Bob on that, and I've seen it over in East Jordan, where a developer was gonna build quite a large complex affordable housing, and they pulled out. I think they can't speak for them, but I mean, it was the perception that the commission threw too many roadblocks in their way and micromanaged to the point where they're like, well, we're not gonna bother with this, so they didn't, and that's to the community's loss. So I would agree with Bob. I think we need to be cautious not to do that. The $1 million question is maybe one for Kyle. I hear from most people in regards to this is, a timeline. Do we have any kind of tentative timeline when this will be breaking ground?
They were ready to move forward. They were delayed because of the city, because of the commission, and because of not having a city manager. So they already got pushed back, way back on that. It was primarily, that's what it was. We were in a state of unknowing. And it kind of tattered how we looked to these developers. They're ready to go. That's what they do. That's their whole job. And that's what our staff has been doing. We're ready to go. We just need to know that we have the support moving forward. All they wanted to do was purchase the land and move forward. So if we put 2 years in there, it's not gonna take them 2 years, and that's just ridiculous to even consider or say that that's something that they would consider. We put 2 years in there just in case all the funding dries up and for some reason they don't have capital or investors, or so that way we don't go back to zero. That's the only reason that's in there. That doesn't mean they're not gonna start digging next month. All we need is the purchase agreement signed.
Are we still on schedule for October 15th for the closing?
I don't think the fifth, well, yeah, I would assume every conversation I have with them and Fishback, who's also part of the project already. We're all on target, like everybody's on target. They're reviewing it because of the escrow and deed restrictions. And they need their legal team to look through that and see if that's gonna line up. They're not gonna sway anything from the percentage at 60%, 80% AMI or the units or layout or any of that stuff. It's gonna be, and their pro forma, they didn't deny it pro forma. They said, we're not giving you one until you actually are gonna work with us and let staff work with us. Why would we do that if we don't know what kind of funding levels we're gonna be at, or how much we're gonna have to take from investors or our own pocket to get to zero to start the project out. So it's really the pro forma is something that they're not silly. They're a good business. They're gonna produce the product and they have to make money. They're not gonna do it without form. I don't understand that, but to answer your question just directly, they're ready to rock and roll. They want to move forward. They've been pushing forward, and they're the ones who luckily, after we re-engaged them, after they weren't involved in any housing discussions for a period of time, said, yeah, we're still interested. We still want to come. Clarence Rivette has a house here in town. He wants to take part of it. He's one of their primary investors and one of their leads with Moxie and the Ray Rivette Group. They want to move. So, sorry, it's just frustrating a little bit because there's miscommunication or a misread on, they're doing all their work and they know all about this around.
I got a couple questions. What is the first round of grant cycles they're looking to achieve? Are they still targeting this October grant?
Yeah, we pretty much have everything to submit. It's just a matter of purchasing plan.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that if they go to submit an application MEDC, MISTA, wherever that application is going. They do not have an updated performa.
It decreases their chance, so they will have, by the time they submit, but it's just a matter of. If they don't think this is gonna go, why are we gonna waste more time working for for that? But-
And that's just an experience that we experienced through MCC. For example, in 2019, they applied, they had a gap of 1.4. They utilized the same performa, even though they were clearly acknowledging, well, our gap went from 1.4 to 4.2 million, so on and so forth, but they weren't updating the performa. Talking to Dan Leonard from MEDC, he's like, that was a big reason they kept giving us old numbers. So as long as they're understanding that they have to have that updated prior to that application
Oh,
process.
yeah, and they have an entire division. That they utilize that is just based on TIFs and grant funding and funding sources. It's not like, hey, they got one guy in their department, it's its own branch.
Right.
And he does it for 6 or 7 developing companies, the primary Eric. And then they merge that back together to try to see who. Gets the best funds and what sources and what avenues you take, and. Like I said, no federal funding, it's all state funding and private finance.
So real quick, and I'll get to you, I just want some more clarification, not clarification, but I love the dialogue that's going on right now. Cause I agree with the concerns of, and to be honest. It is one of my biggest concerns is the moving the goalposts and the frustration that builds with developers, and they're just like. Okay, let's build the 7th one in the last 3 years up in Petoskey, and if you take a look at projects and developments that have happened over the last 4 years, it's here, 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 and Boyne City's right here. So I'm a very competitive individual, and I want to be on the map as far as this development came to Boyne City. With that being said, that's why, I'm talking about this infrastructure agreement in Brownfield. I'm talking about this point system. Look at Traverse City, look, Fishbeck is the one that presented at that house, because I don't want us to not be talking to the developer about that at this stage and then get down to the point and then have it be the 7th time it gets brought up from the commission. The developer's like, wait, what? You're talking about the point system now? Wait, what? You wanted us to do the infrastructure? So I'm really concerned that those conversations are happening now in the beginning with the developer. And we don't throw that at them, after that grant is already applied for, so and so.
And we've been fully open, I talk to them at least twice a week.
And from my understanding, it's a win-win. It's a win for them as a developer. And it's a win for the municipality as well, because they're getting reimbursed for it, so is the city. The point system one, I know there's questions on the legality of it, but again, I remember this presentation very specifically in 2024 Housing Summit Conference. It was at Grand Traverse Resort where the conference was. And it was either the Grand Traverse Brownfield, because they're unique. They have a county brownfield development authority and a city. So it's either one of those two, and Fishbeck was the presenter and talked about how you can create that point system through that brownfield redevelopment agreement. So Commissioner Moody.
Yeah, all I wanted to say was, to Kyle's point, we, somehow we got confused on this 2-year, the 2-year aspect was strictly. It wasn't that they weren't going to build for 2 years. This was strictly to say from the city, okay, we are offering you this piece of property for X. And if you don't do anything with it, you are done in 2 years. We're not going to tie this property up forever and let you just string us out. That was the only thing on the 2 years. And I understand exactly what Kyle's saying. It wasn't that they're not doing anything for 2 years. It was that we had the ability with our contract to keep the thumb on it and say, hey, here it is. That's all I wanted.
And by the way, we keep $5,000, I think, for that.
Yeah.
Correct.
Mayor, I'd like to add something if I may. So the city attorney has gone through all of the documents. They went through everything before they were even distributed to anyone else. They also went to the title company, the escrow agent that would hold it in escrow. And the title company first came up and said, well, we have our own escrow agreement, but send me yours. And then they responded to, yeah, I like yours. So they've also gone through it completely. So in that 2 years, what typically ends up happening, Kyle's right, things will progress. They're gonna have to do some ground studies, they're gonna have to dig some pilot holes, you know, there's a lot that goes on, and they're spending money on these things, but, municipalities, if you put them in a year and you lock them in, then they gotta come back and say, hey, I'm not quite done, then they're also at risk of saying, well, you've invested all this stuff, well, you didn't meet it, so you're out. So it works both ways, and it is a programming process, and there are multiple steps that go on, and there's any number of things that could be delayed. So I'm pleased that they're doing their due diligence on that. So yes, the expectation is, but once they get rolling and you start seeing equipment there and you start seeing testing being done and groundwater levels being taken and the depth of clay for footings and foundations, that is all going to happen pretty quickly. Once that purchase agreement's a trigger point, they're going to spend a lot of money on it. And then you'll start seeing some other things as well. You're going to have land management that comes out there to, you know, obviously develop that site survey. And there will be activity. And that's when a lot of these agents that are working, contractors outside of Moxie, that come in. The one thing that I do like about Moxie, though, is a lot of the, and I want to make sure that the city is directly engaged and involved in that, but they're willing to take on community engagement. They're willing to take on the letters that need to go out, the support letters that need to go out. Because my question to them was, well, don't you need something? And they will need something from this commission and from this administration and from planning and zoning that says, you know, we wholeheartedly support this project. We look forward to working with them. Because as you know, Mayor, those are also documents that help them gain points in that, in the structure for the money.
Yep. Commissioner Pritchard.
I recall the issue about the pro forma and being current, which is why I brought it up. And I'm sorry, but the communications that we received, they declined when we asked for it. I feel that it's not an accurate statement that this commission was not continuing to pursue doing anything with them during after the March period. We have done nothing to indicate that we did not want to proceed with them. We actually had the matter come before us to agree upon price, went through that whole exercise. So I don't believe there's been any indicators from Boyne City that, as it was stated, that they're not sure, they're not going to waste their time if we're not going to work with them. That's not an issue. I think that we've been working with them as evidenced by the communication. Being a detail person, I'm sorry, and doing contracts, I can't help but read the detail. And so when I see a draft, I recognize it's a draft agreement that talks about the 2 years. And there's a unilateral clause in here that says that at the seller's sole discretion may extend the funding deadline. My worry about is getting moving, getting traction. I don't know what you're doing in the communications. We haven't had really much of a media update other than this document being presented to us. So that would be useful. And you can never over communicate. In this very clause, it says they need to determine their funding goal. It's incomplete. So when I read this, I'm sorry, it tells me that maybe there's some financials that aren't hardened up. I'm delighted to hear that they have what you feel like is all of their funding or most of their funding ready to go. So I don't feel like we're moving the goalposts. And I think that we've been consistent in pursuing this, and the pro forma is a piece that will be necessary, I think, in order to increase their probability of success in the grant funding. So I'm not sad for having asked for it. And I don't think there's any problem in having them come have a congenial discussion about where they're at and what's going on. So we can all come up to the speed that you're at. Thank you.
Alrighty,
I just wanted to clarify, so are they waiting for us for anything in terms of the sale of that parcel?
We're just currently reviewing a contract next to the escrow and deed.
Okay,
restrictions.
so it's in their court? Yes.
Yes, Commissioner, when I, in one of the meetings, the very early meetings, I let them know that if there is ever a time that they're waiting for anything from anyone on the Boyne City team, they need to let me know immediately, because we never want to be the cause of a delay. So I was very clear with that statement to them. So I put that completely on them to let us know at any point they need something from us.
Okay. I just wanted to be clear. So are we looking still at the 15th of October for,
I don't
Do we-
believe
do we
so,
know?
but Kyle has had discussions since the last one that I had, which was a week ago. Well, it was last Wednesday, the conversation I had with them. So I'm not sure. Once they, and I told them the things that I'm looking for that were important. One is that funding number, because that's a goalpost that's not movable. That's a goalpost that, you know, when they achieve that number and they prove that they have those assets ready, that is the point that that deed is quick claimed and clears the escrow agent.
Okay.
But there's other conditions that also move forward. As Commissioner Moody had said, failure to complete on that time means the property comes back.
right?
Anyone else have anything?
No, sir.
I do actually have a question, and that's about the other property.
Mhm.
We were waiting for clearance from the state, I guess to vacate alleys or something. What stands in the way of getting an RFP going for the other property?
That's me.
Yeah, so the last recommendation came from Scott McPherson and city manager to kind of break off from moving forward on the two pieces of property in a parallel path. Because we're waiting on the state, because we vacated alleyways on that piece of property, and they were waiting on something from the state with the assessor maybe to make sure that those parcels were built or put together properly prior to actually moving forward with that development aspect. Do you know, has whatever needed to be shored up at the state level?
They're all vacated, so
Okay.
it's all cleared up.
So kind of to Commissioner Richards' point, is that something that we could start looking to go out for requests for qualifications?
Oh, yeah,
or
it's
requests
just
for-
been a time to put the RFQ together.
Okay,
That's pretty much been it,
Now you gotta help.
okay.
because we were trying to get the other one rolling.
Like off dead center.
Yeah,
So just to, you know, if that is the case, I'm gonna try and give a motion right now and see if the commission will support it. Ultimately, the motion would be to have city staff to move forward with drafting a request for qualification. Similar to the previous request for qualification utilized at the North Boring property for development on the parcel known as Community Garden location. For the city commission to review that draft, so then we can move forward.
Second,
Further discussion? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with it, Mayor. The only thing that I was looking at, I understand where Sandy's coming from, you know, trying to, you know, move this forward at the same time. I look at it differently, more kind of like, you know, I'd like to see where we're going on the one that we have. And you know, I understand the urgency, you know, we need it, but you know, as this one gets built, you know, there's you know, there may be things that we want to change about this other parcel. There may be things that we want to do different because of, you know, any roadblocks, any things that we're experiencing on this one. That's my only trepidation. I don't have a problem with, you know, putting it out there and seeing what comes back. But I don't think this commission is ready to say, let's go forward on this property. I realized that early on, we looked at parallel paths, but now that we're this far down this path, I think we need to, I want to do it right. And
I understand what you're communicating, and I respect it. The only thing that I would like to add is just kind of the perspective of the scenario that we were caught in with MCC.
Mhm.
And if we can give an opportunity for Moxie, because I think the number one developer that would be the most interested in that piece of property is going to be Moxie, because less than 200 feet away, 200 yards away, they'll be building, you know, development. If we continue to transition through that. And my thoughts, and correct me if I'm wrong, John or Kyle, is we're not essentially recreating the wheel. It should be a very simple process to follow that's been laid out less than a year ago
Mhm.
that we executed on the North Boyne property. And I would like your guys' feedback and opinion on that. Do you see this as an additional workload that's uncontainable and unmanageable with where you're sitting currently? Or do you think that this is an example that you could take that was just recently done, kind of copy and paste, change some North Point property terminology to community garden, whatever it may need to be? But just get us to a position of reviewing a draft proposal at least for going out for qualifications. Because timeline wise, I'm just gonna be very realistic from experience, if you gave us a draft, you know, by the next meeting or maybe the meeting after that. The city attorney has to review that, so on and so forth. And the commission's gonna meet on it, deliberate, have any adjustments from there. Then we get it finalized, then we go out, and that's typically a 30-day, 60-day process, whatever it may be. But I would say it was about 3 months to 2.5 months from the time we posted the last one to us actually being able to review the responses in detail. And I just would like your feedback on, is this something that you guys think you could do in-house at your work level right now? Because if we can create an opportunity where Moxie can come in and say, hey, I can do that 101 unit, plus I can do a 98 unit, and that helps my application process to MEDC, because now I'm lowering the cost of expense with logistics, so my rate per unit is reduced, and that's essentially the argument that MCC was proposing to us about 2 years ago. And it could be a very unique situation where we could tee up this developer for an additional project.
We certainly could. We definitely, I mean, we have, it's, when they did the surveys and the initial studies and everything up there. And then if you put the legal descriptions and alley vacations, they did them all together. It wasn't just, they weren't two separate things. It was kind of the North Point project. Essentially, so all that information is contained in a few files that are together on the computer.
Okay.
It's not difficult. The other thing I will say is that there are a few other developers that specifically now for that specific property. They're not even interested in RQs, they just want to start building something.
Okay,
Just like, you know,
okay.
So I would also have a concern that Moxie, we don't have the agreements yet. And if they were to think, oh, well, you know, I'm gonna have a pool of candidates and they're already creating another pond of candidates, given the scale of the other property. Then I could also say, you know, we're not going to do it. And I'm not Moxie, and I'm just saying that there is a risk of that. I don't think there'd be an issue if you offered it to them, because there are economies of scale. You already have crews here doing one, you're just doing it on two. And Kyle's done a really good job communicating to them the inventory of people that need this housing. You know, that may be a good place to start. But yes, if there's something a rinse and repeat, and we're changing things and we're looking at scale just based on different property numbers, that's not a big deal to put out. But I would suggest, and with consensus of the commission, that we just have a, you know, sort of an off-table discussion about what do you think about this? So they're not just hit from the side.
Well, and to the city manager's point, I mean, we're going down this road. We don't have any, you know, concrete, you know, signatures or anything like that. And they go, oh, you're open to that one? Well, yeah, I really didn't want to do this one. I was only doing this one so I could have access to this one.
Yes, sir, that's another potential.
Fear will paralyze us. Progress versus perfection. We are now a full 2 years into this. They have vast resources, connections as Wirt Rivet. And I would be astounded if they didn't want to put their hat in and would pull away. But it could happen. It could happen. I guess we need to move forward. We're not getting.
How is that fear paralyzing us? I don't even understand it.
Because of the point that Tim made, and that is how long it takes to get to the place to even get an answer.
I got that. So that's 4 or 5 months down the road. We haven't even got 4 or 5 months into this project. You've already cited, you've sat here and cited how many things that you do not really care for, or that you don't believe that they've done the way that you want them to do it. And now we're already talking about going, you know what? I don't even like them, but let's put them on the next project. I don't understand that. I'd like to see what they're going to do, how they're going to do this. And we've got, you know, if this project goes, that's 101 units. Okay. We don't have to have you know, 202 units built tomorrow. It's about progression and about, you know, about making your growth work for you, not against you. You know, I agree with you wholeheartedly. We've had this conversation, Sandy, that 101 units, I believe, are going to get filled pretty much like that. Are 202 units going to get filled just like that? Maybe not. I can personally tell you that the rents in this area have already slowed rentals down. Okay, I've got 4 of them out there right now. I manage about 30 of them. I have 4 of them out there right now that 6 months ago, I'd have had 40 applications, 40 good applications. Right now, I get 40 applications, but if I talk to the chief, he's gonna go, no, 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 no. So, you know, you've got to use your resources. But so it's already changing. So are we gonna fill 202? You know, I don't know that answer. I don't think you just need to just start this and go, yeah, let's just go. Let's just go. We need it. I think we've got a great project in the works, you know, already built out, you know, in a project scale to an extent. Haven't seen the full pro forma. I understand what you're saying. And, you know, but let's move in this direction. This will come. The other one's going to come. It's not a matter of, you know, whether it's going to or not. I understand wholeheartedly where Tim's coming from, as, you know, maybe this gives them more, you know, meat and more negotiating for the credits and stuff. That's not that's their problem, not our problem.
So I just want to remind what the motion is. The motion is to go out for a draft proposal for request for qualifications. John, I'm going to be receptive to the concerns that you brought forth, and I'm going to push back a little bit. And that's just if they have concern of building to fill tenant occupancy for 101 with a concern of a second one. My pushback is we are paying for a membership for Housing North, and that membership needs to be utilized in moments like this. 2,700 housing units are needed for Boyne City between now and 2027. I'm not a math whiz, but 2,700 some units minus 101 units leaves a lot of occupancy capability still for our region. We're paying for that data. We're paying for. What was that?
Just, I was told that we have not been paying membership. We are not a member of.
We are not.
Okay.
We stopped that.
Yeah, we stopped paying them. So that's,
Okay.
Year and a half.
I'm sorry, I just want, because I heard differently. I just wanted to.
No, perfect. I love being corrected when I'm wrong.
I apologize.
So I appreciate that, but still that material's there, and I can go on the website right now. It's the housing needs assessment. The metric is there. So that's what I'm trying to utilize to say, is that a valid concern or not for this developer to have? Because these developers are multi-million-dollar companies developing multi-million-dollar developments throughout the state of Michigan. I'm sure they can utilize that metric and be informed and have an understanding of, is that a valid concern to have as a developer? Is that not a valid concern to have? And secondly, we can always do the what if, and I really try and keep myself from doing the what if scenario. And I'm just going on from what my experience has been. I haven't been doing this for 40 years. I've been doing this for 4 years. And that 4 years experience, this same scenario popped up where it assisted a developer to receive and gain grant funding through the state. So that's the experience I'm relying on from. I'm not looking at it as a potential derailment. I'm looking at it as a benefit from past experience from just 2 years ago with a much bigger developer speaking to it. And I went at lengths in conversation with Dan Leonard about, is this a valid point that MCC is actually speaking to? Will it actually help? Can you explain to me how this would help their application process? And he broke it down and he explained how it was the expense line per unit and how it would reduce that. And so it was a valid point. And I'm not just what ifing that. That isn't just a what if that I'm throwing out there in the moment. It's you know, valid and verified, so on and so forth. So the motion's out there. I don't want to marry us to, this isn't a motion to completely move forward with this. It's just a motion to allow staff to put something together for the submission to review. And in between that time of them putting something together for us to be able to review, we can personally, individually digest where we're at in that process. We will be that much closer to have answers from MCC. I mean, sorry, not MCC, MOPSI, thank you. But also that will give you time to have that open, transparent dialogue with Moxie and say, hey, the commission also has identified the second piece of property. They're moving forward. Is this something you guys would be interested in? And get their opinion right off the bat and provide that feedback to the commission when you bring forth that draft RFQ for us to review. And you can inform us not on a what if, but on a valid, verified scenario of what was their response.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and for the record, I get what you're saying, Tim, in the last few years, so using MCC as the perfect example, that was, we have no verification of that other than his talking points, that of course, if you're able to build, two things right next to each other, of course your costs and everything are going to be down. Talked a lot about it with Elmer's and then, and how things went around, town here. So there's no question of that. MCC, we have no tangible evidence. It was a bait and switch by them anyhow. It was like, oh no, we've got to be able to do this. And then it was like, so it blew up. And so I respect the analogy, but I don't think it's applicable. But that's, like you say, there's a motion on the floor. I'm ready for the vote.
Does anyone else have anything before I ask for a roll call vote?
Was there any public comment?
I did ask for public
Okay.
comment at the
Okay.
beginning, but
I just want to make sure that if the audience had
Yo,
wanted to be heard, that they could.
yo. Does anyone have public comment since the deliberation of the commission? Since there was not an anticipated motion on this topic? If there isn't, I will just ask for a roll call, please, Jessica.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
Nay.
Pritchard,
Aye.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck.
Aye.
The motion's carried.
Great, thank you. Moving on to agenda item 9C, adoption of the city of Boyne City Master Plan. You can go first.
All right, thank you for that previous talking point. That's good. I think if the RFQ go off. Do you want me to wait for Commissioner Moody?
No.
Okay, I'm not gonna read through the whole memo. There was a painstaking process for the master plan. I'm glad that I got that out of the way, it being my first master plan to have to work through. I think the planning commission did a great job and we ended up basically coming back to staff to do the editing and do basically the formatting of the master plan. So we took that, we had our public hearing at the planning commission with the feedback that we got from other boards and commissions. Our recommendation at this time is that the city commission adopt the City of Boyne City Master Plan 2025 update, including all associated charts and maps.
Okay. Alrighty. Any public comment, questions, concerns? Closing public comment, going to the board for deliberation. Let's start with the last, move this way and then next go that way. Start with you, sir.
Yep. Thanks for all your work on that, Kyle. I'm sure that was pretty daunting. Yeah. Everything I've read, everything I've heard, I'm good with it. Nothing else.
Thank you. Commissioner Farrar.
I appreciate the fact that the master plan was massaged and more detail was put into it in the areas, and even from the county, they made mention of the housing and some of the other needs that those were addressed in there. So with the variety of inputs, we ended up with a better product, I hope. And I hope that's something that serves you well as a tool moving forward. So I'm in favor of that, of adopting it.
Commissioner Pritchard.
I'm grateful that we've reached this benchmark finally. After a lot of hard work and some great leadership with the new chair and yourself, that we're here. Now we can move to goals that we wanted to update. Thank you.
Commissioner Movie.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with what Sandy just said. I mean, thanks for, taking it and making a better product than what we originally had. And there was way too much that was just kind of getting floated out there and there, let's go. And so I appreciate it and all the time and effort and concur with, looking forward to the goals.
Alrighty, Kyle, what I have written down here is thank you, exclamation mark for Kyle. Thank you, planning commission members who worked hard on this, invested a great amount of thought, time and deliberation and energy on the plan. I know it was not a point A to point B scenario here either. With the situations that we found ourselves in as we were going through those scenarios. But what I will say is I really do appreciate everyone's willingness to allow opportunity for conversation. As we went through the struggles that they were, I would say we're better for it. And what I mean by that, there's now plans of actions in place of including the Main Street Board in future master plan development and establishment of a plan. Same thing with Parks and Rec and so on and so forth. So I think we're better for the struggles that we transition through. I think the material is better as well. And I really do appreciate just the patience that you and others had as we went through this process to better develop it. So appreciate it. Thank you. With that being said, I'll make a motion that the city commission adopts the City of Boyne City Master Plan 2025 update, including all associated charts and maps.
Support.
Further discussion. Roll call, please, Jessica.
Moody,
Aye.
Pritchard,
Aye.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
the motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 10A, credit card policy resolutions approval. Jessica, I'm gonna let you take this memo.
So at this time, the city of Boyne City does not have an established credit card policy. Currently, when charges need to be made, for instance, for travel, reoccurring purchases that the city has. And things like that, staff, mainly department heads are putting that on their personal credit cards and then requesting reimbursements. So this is fully supported by all department heads and then staff within the city. I've worked with the banks to create the policy because it also has to work with their policy after approval here. It has to be approved by them to create this. It will benefit the city as well as it'll help keep track of better records and also it can implement cost savings because there will be potential rewards for statement credits and things like that. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Anything from the public? No? Guess we'll start with Sandy.
This is basically what you're talking about is a P card, purchase card. The world that I come from, purchase cards are extremely useful and it can be make things go more efficiently for a select group of folks who have to make frequent purchases. So I guess the question I have is in your monthly activities, is there a select group that you get the most requests for reimbursement from?
It's mainly department heads.
Okay.
Yes.
This policy doesn't limit it to department heads, does it?
It does not, as you don't ever know, like a staff. It does not. I kept it pretty fluid as you don't ever know what a staffing situation is gonna be.
Okay, but again, it would be my experience that you would have a list of individuals or roles that would be given a card. And it would, in other words, the distribution would be limited. And you spoke to the amount of capping it. You speak to no personal charges, which is good. They would also go so far as to limit, or select, because this capability does exist, that the type of merchant ID that the card could be used for. So those are some of the things that are off the top of my head. I think they're great and can be extremely useful, particularly for the $20 here and $30 there and so on and so forth. And I see you've capped it at $250. You spoke of cost savings.
There's not gonna be a cap first.
That was an example.
That was an example.
Shoot, sorry.
Well, a cap of the dollar amount was an example. I'm sorry, I misread it. I guess I thought it was.
The policy.
Oh, I see. You were citing Boyne Thunder as an example of $250. Okay. I don't want to circumvent the purchase order system because that's what ends up happening a lot of times with P cards as far as being able to show where monies go. So it helps on the one hand and not issuing checks on a regular basis. On the other hand, you lose some visibility and in terms of procurement practices. So those are my experience in implementing these. We did it on a trial basis with a limited pool and then expanded on from there. You speak of credit card rewards. Who accrues those? The individual?
No, it would be, they would be in the form of statement credits.
Statement credits.
Yeah, it's like if you stay at Hilton, you get Hilton points.
Okay, so then it leads to the question of how those points get distributed.
But it's not a point card.
They're not
It doesn't-
necessarily a point card.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily.
So,
a point card.
again,
Actually, that would be our only, I was just explaining that would be the only option
Yeah.
if.
So my feedback is that it's a great idea. It does work for select individuals. It should be, in my opinion, limited to department heads. And that perhaps we start a trial. One of the other comments I made, I would like to make you speak of needing to have receipts within 5 days of a given purchase, as opposed to waiting until a statement comes. In other words, the process is basically they're still doing an expense report form.
I would request that the receipts be given right away.
So you're going to be comparing their receipts against this common bank statement.
Mhm.
So they will not be individual cards assigned to,
They will be
Employee
individual
A.
cards.
and you'll receive multiple statements from,
It will be on one statement.
It's just itemized.
It's just-
Dennis Amesbury charged X, Jessica charged X. John
Is the
Matthews
impression I'm
charged
getting.
X.
okay, I would support a trial. I'm not necessarily.
We don't necessarily, it's not just department heads that do traveling and expenses and things.
That's
like that,
true.
So.
But that's true. No, I'm speaking my personal perspective.
So that's why we don't want to limit it. That's why it's limited to city staff. Because we might send somebody down for training for a week for a conference.
Yes.
And expecting them, just because they're not a department head, to put that on their personal credit card. Just seems disrespectful.
I hear what you're saying, and there is another process by which that can be done, but I'm expressing my perspective based on my experience.
Would you leave on that? Did you get everyone?
Let's start with Sandy.
Commissioner Lee, were you
Yeah.
done? Or did you have anything else for you?
Okay, no,
Well, I don't want to cut you off.
no, it turns into an argument. Thanks.
Commissioner Pritchard, I mean Moody.
Yeah, I'm all for the process. I think this is way past long time coming. We've talked about it and, previously it was just shot down and, for whatever reason, the previous administration didn't want to play this way. So I think this, totally makes sense. And the only reason I knew the answer to your question, Sandy, is because living with all those women when they were younger, you know, they each had their names, and so I could keep track. I would, I guess I would say though, Jessica, that we would want a cap of a single item. Because otherwise it really needs to go through the purchase order aspect of, you know, I don't know what this board is willing to do, but I think going along where Sandy was going of, you know, $500 or $1,000 as.
Well,
as-
we
as
still have our
fast.
approval. It's like, we're still going to have to get approval from the city manager as department heads. We still have to come to you as for approval to make purchases. So all of that is still in place.
Okay, all right.
It's
Well,
just,
I guess all I was saying is like, yeah, because on single items, you know, one thing, I understand that a stay, you know, for, you know, someone, you know, going down to a conference or something, by the time you pay for the conference and the hotels and stuff, that may be 1,200 and not 1,000, but those are separate purchases. I was looking more toward a single item. It definitely needs to, and I get what you're saying. It's still all gotta go through.
that approval process doesn't
Okay,
change.
gotcha. Then I'm fine, because it really is way past, we should have done this long time ago, in my mind. So I'm fine.
This is what I wrote down. I first addressed this issue, well, I'll just say topic, about a year and a half ago when Main Street communicated some of the issues outlined in this memo. Two of those individuals are sitting in the room right over there. One was the chair and one was the director for Main Street that approached me about a year and a half ago with several concerns that are laid out in this memo. When I addressed it about a year and a half ago with the city manager at that time, did not support any changes to the policy and only supported the use of personal credit cards. And the reason why was due to the risk of fraud. I found this to be an invalid excuse with my professional background, directly tied to identifying internal, external fraud. So I didn't understand why he wouldn't review the policy or bring this conversation forward. I then came to a Main Street meeting and brought it forward at a Main Street meeting with the city manager present. Again, that conversation did not move forward at that time. With those concerns of fraud being previously communicated in mind, do you feel this policy has measures in place to, one, identify risk of fraud, and two, establishes a plan of action for cases of verified fraud?
I do.
Okay. Thank you for that.
I think you were in the bathroom, but like I said, like this policy also has to be approved by the bank itself. The resolution has to be approved by the bank itself because they don't want to be at risk of fraud.
Right.
So, like, if you guys wanted to modify anything within the policy, I would have to take it back to the bank and have.
Yep, okay. In the example that you used here, ironically, for Main Street, can you just walk through what, and the question that I wrote out was all requests documented and retained for how many years, question mark? So how does that, how does that request process work? Because you kind of indicated that it still is going to be the same, goes to the city manager, so on and so forth. Is there, and the only reason why I'm asking for retention is just to ease the fraud concern, that if there was fraud, at least we have the material retention and the retention for materials in place to identify and track down that fraud.
So it's my understanding, and again, so I'm still working with the bank, and this won't be immediate because then they have to have the approved minutes, so I won't even be able to go even start the process until after the next meeting, if the minutes are approved, is that the receipts are also scanned to their system, so they'll also have retention as well. But we keep things, we scan within BSNA as well, so as long as we have BSNA and they don't crash.
Right.
But then we keep the paper copies for at least 7 years.
Perfect, awesome, that answers the retention question. And the last question I have is, has the policy been reviewed by the city attorney?
It has not,
Okay, do you,
but it has been reviewed by the bank, who
okay,
has to have, I mean, it has to have their approval. And
okay,
it's been reviewed by all of their powers above. I guess I can send it to him, but I didn't see the point of having the city attorney up, like paying for that when I know that it's
Okay.
sound with the bank.
okay. Thank you, that's all the questions I have. Commissioner Lassiter?
Yeah, Jessica, it looks like you did your homework. Well thought out, well written. I've been a guy that's many times, used my own credit card to go to training and meals and whatnot, giant pain. This is a much better streamlined, more efficient way to take care of business, so I'm perfectly fine with it. Thank you.
Commissioner Farrell?
I too questioned this process very early on before I was a commissioner as a city employee, as a part-time employee. Because I was putting stuff on my personal credit card to get stuff in the door. So this is a tool to be used by the staff, a professional staff, achieving the city's goals. So with somebody overseeing it, I don't have any issue with us moving forward with this. So I'm in favor.
Did you have public comment?
Yeah, I did.
Okay,
Everybody.
perfect, awesome. I'll make a recommendation that the city commission approve the city of Boyne City credit card use policy CP-01 as presented. And further approve the accompanying resolution to authorize the commercial credit card and account agreement. But be it further resolved that the city clerk treasurer or deputy treasurer is authorized to execute all necessary documents on behalf of the city related to the establishment and administration of the commercial credit card account.
Support?
Further discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Richard,
Aye.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
All right,
the motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 10B. Doug.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good afternoon to the commission. This is basically just a change order to basically make official what was already discussed in terms of the non-participating funds. Back in, I think, May or June, we basically, I brought it in front of you to approve contract one to be increased, the non-participating funds by an amount of $599,598.90. This is a change order to make that official, so that contract one can actually be utilized in that way for all the AC pipe replacement and all the other things that have happened along the lines of contract one. So I'm here to answer any questions if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
Going to the public for public comment, question, concerns. Going to the board for deliberation. I went that way last, so Commissioner Moody.
yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I guess I'm confused because I thought we already ratified this.
You approved the amount, but we did not actually put it onto a
change
change
order.
order for the actual
Okay.
contract.
All right.
There's a contract between the city and Team Elmhurst. This makes that official. That's already been approved.
Okay,
Commissioner Pritchard.
No comment.
Commissioner Farrell.
I'm in support of approving and processing through to the contract level, the action already taken, so.
Commissioner Lassiter.
Yeah, Marty asked me a question, so I'm good. Thanks.
Alrighty, I'm in support. Commissioner Pritchard, do you have anything? Okay, I'll make a motion and recommend the city commission approve change order 2 to contract 1 of the Clean Water State Revolving Fund project to increase the Clean Water State Revolving Fund contract by $599,598.90 and to extend the substantial and final completion dates to June 30th, 2026 and August 31st, 2026 respectively, and authorize the city manager and or city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documents.
Support?
Alrighty, further discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
all right.
Richard,
Aye.
motion's carried.
Moving on to 10C, take us away on the update.
Okay, so the updates, basically, here's where we're at in CWSRF. Contract 2, they're basically working on the only addition I have to what's already on this. They did a power outage, a scheduled power outage today to tie in a bunch of electrical that's happening at the wastewater plant in the blower building. Worked with the generator or the contractors on that. They were able to temporarily take one of our mobile generators and allow us to use that for the administrative building so we could still run the lab. So that was kind of a little update that happened. Another update that happened that
really isn't discussed on this is we had a water main break, but we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit, so. Other than that, that's kind of the highlight reel. I'm here to answer any of the questions. I can read through this, but I'm sure you guys have already read through it, so.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Going to the public for public comment, questions, concerns. Started with these two, start with you.
Sure. Just double checking on Earl Street. There was a redirect of Earl Street to accommodate people actually having front yards and the turnaround at the end.
Yes.
I'm not seeing that in this document.
About third paragraph down to the water and sewer, Earl Street redesign is completed and staked. Expecting grading and ag base on Monday, September 22nd. That's actually happening. They've already pretty much put the ag base down. Final grade and concrete allowing the trench drains and final restorations are to happen this week as well.
Missing the point. This is the Earl Street drawing in the change order,
Yes.
and it's the original, not the modified.
Oh,
So-
I'm sorry, you had a different question. I thought.
Yeah, I'm looking at, in the packet, we have all of the change orders,
Yeah,
and the change order for Earl is not in this packet.
no.
Okay.
No, but this change, are you talking about change order two? That's totally separate.
Yep.
From Earl Street.
Well, this is the material you provided, so
Yes.
I'm looking at that and I'm not seeing the modified Earl Street.
You're not seeing modified Earl Street under where it says Alice Street and all these other little streets? Is that what
Correct.
you're getting at?
C 132, page 91.
Gotcha.
So
I apologize, that's not included in this. I believe it's.
I
because
just,
it has
I
to
just
do
wanted to
with
make sure that we
change order two.
didn't slip up something.
No, no, it just
Okay.
has nothing to do with.
I don't want the Earl Street people coming back. so-
No, that's still underway though. It's happening in the
Okay.
background, so.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
I'll come back to you, Esther.
Okay.
Doug, I appreciate the update, very detailed for the commission and for the public. It's on public record as well, so I appreciate that. Something historically, I think we just verbally gave, so I really appreciate us having it documented, so anyone in the community can do a little bit of digging on the city website and actually get the update material and notes, right here, so I appreciate that. Commissioner,
Yeah, no, I appreciate the update, even the update on Hemlock. I know there were some issues up there. The probably the biggest question. So, and you have it on here, Doug, but Maine is almost near completion and will be open completely back up. Is that?
Yeah,
Is that from
I'm glad you
like
brought it
Barton's
up.
intersection on up the hill?
Yeah, I took a few more calls on that today. I'm glad you brought it up. I'd like to add a little sidebar on this as well. I have voiced my concerns rather ecstatically that they still have a pipe sitting on Main Street. Are you putting it in the ground? What are you doing? You can't leave a pipe on a street for 10 years like you did over there on Pine Street.
Yep.
And then have Facebook chirping that they're gonna change it to Pipe Street, the name. I'm very disappointed that that pipe is still on that street, but they're running into some issues and they're dealing with them. They think they have a solution. I was told either last week, I was told the pipe would be removed. If it's not in the ground, I don't want them storing it there anymore on Main Street. So they said tomorrow that pipe will be moved. So Main Street is getting close in terms of the directional boring. They finally have a solution that they think that is gonna work, in which case we'll see, hopefully see the pipe in the ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner Lawson,
I'm good. Thanks.
Commissioner Purchase.
Thanks for the update. Couldn't agree more about how useful it is to receive this level of information. We used to, and I'm glad that you're doing it.
Just as a point of record, I've been doing this for these exact reports for months now. They just haven't been included in the packet, and I apologize for that.
No, I meant previous to you,
Gotcha.
we did not
Actually have it
receive
in the
this.
packet.
So, no, this is something that I deeply appreciate. Thank you.
Just two questions that popped up as soon as you said Facebook and social media, brings back nightmares. I was getting a lot of posts about the pipe being stored at Peninsula Park. Is that gonna be there all winter long as well?
I do not foresee that happening, but I can check for sure. I know when it's done, when the project is completed, obviously that whole park would look just like it did before they started. But they have to tie in the directionally bored sewer main, and that work hasn't even begun because they have to get it all on the ground first, the sewer main line.
Right.
And so I would expect that to happen in the next coming weeks and months, the tie-in to the station Peninsula Beach. In which case, once it's tied in, all the fencing, all the piping, all that stuff should start to make its way gone.
Cause that was a text message that I got that I forwarded to the city manager, so I wanna make sure I follow up with that person as well.
Yeah.
About that, and then the Brockway was this is another topic that I forwarded to the city manager. I got a few text messages over the last week about a driveway and the approach. And I see you have right here Brockway complete to chorus, backfill driveways and concrete sidewalks.
I can speak to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
She's great. She's happy.
Perfect,
All taken care of.
awesome. All right, thank you, sir. That's all the questions I had. I appreciate it, Doug.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Doug.
Moving on to agenda item. E, fall tree planting.
You guys, as you guys are aware, we have a tree program here in Boyne City that residents are allowed to call in and ask their request for trees. That our request for proposal basically went out a couple weeks ago. It just closed, so this was late getting into the packet. I was a little disappointed that we only had one actually respond and actually included a bid package. And it is here, so we have Robinson's Landscaping, who we've used since I've been here, going on a couple years now, pretty regularly. So they gave me a range. How I did change it up a little bit this year, just FYI. I wanted a range of trees. I didn't want to have to go out and try to mark all these trees and say this tree's going here, this tree's going there. That's not happening. We're gonna make that decision after the fact. Based on how many trees have you ordered? Did you order one last year and did you kill it? Those kind of things are all gonna be weighed in now. So we have a range of 375 to 585. That's for per tree installed. That's where I then get this number of 19,000, and that is multiplying it out to the maximum number of trees. It won't be more than that number. It might not even be that number of trees. The 40 trees, I think, is listed here. And it's also including some shrubs and bushes that were kind of added in the end there towards the airport, where we had to remove trees for some of that work, and we work with residents, and we're going to have some bushes planted there for privacy purposes. So this is all encompassing all of the tree work to be done. If it's approved, I'll be making my way around the city and marking off locations here this afternoon. So.
All right, thank you for that information and answers to my questions already. Any public comment, questions, concerns? Going to the board, starting at this end this time, Commissioner Pritchard.
So just to be clear, you just threw in approximate quantities to come up with a number.
No, the quantities are actually listed. If you go down farther to the actual tree
So
planting.
they're one,
schedule.
1, 1, and then 4.
Yeah, so there's a tree planting schedule, and there are those number of requests that came in.
Okay, to be clear, these are the trees that are part of our beautification.
Correct.
And
Yeah,
separate
right.
entirely from anything that's going to be needed in restoration for the CWRS.
Totally separate, yeah. These are just requests from residents, and they're in the right way, basically. Most.
How many requests for bid were put out?
I put an RFP out. I notified everybody who last bid last year. The 3 or 4 that were in last year's, and I just told them, hey, there's an advertisement out. That's all I can do.
I become concerned when we only get one response.
And
I'm not saying you didn't go to any length. I become really concerned when we get one response.
Yeah.
And it frequently is that there's is a feeling that it's gonna go one way anyway, so, and they don't bother to answer.
Well, it could be that he's won the bid and he's competitive, that they just don't want to bid against it anymore. I mean, I can't. say
No,
why
it's
people-
not on you. It's
Yeah.
just understanding.
Yeah.
Why? Because we got a bunch of guys that do this.
Oh, yeah, understood.
It's concerned. Thanks.
Commissioner Moody.
Well, to that point, Sandy, I agree. And if you remember last year, it turned into a little bit of a debacle because there's it kind of looked like there was some, cutting and pasting, but not from you. But all I wanted to clarify is, there was, there was 2 that said 2 if possible. We're not.
No,
Right.
there's gonna be a 1 tree limit, correct?
Got it. That's all I wanted to make sure and understand. That was at 508 South Lake, and then 541 Matty Lane. And then 2 bushes in lieu of a tree, on your roster here, they look to be pretty close to the same. So still only 1 bush, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then my only other question was, so the Sunset Park
That was a typo by me. I apologize for that. Actually, a memorial tree was actually approved by me. And then I added it here, not knowing that this person who's putting the memorial tree in actually already had arrangements for all made for this tree. So
So it
that's
comes
already
out.
been handled. That, as a matter of fact, she has the tree picked out. The company's ready to go to put the tree in. I think it's gonna be about an 8 or 9 foot Norway tree. They already want to put lights on the thing this year, which may be a possibility, but
And where's it going?
it's going to be the new Christmas tree, and it's gonna have a little plaque on it that's gonna say, basically a memory of the ice storm or something to that effect of the recent ice storm that this had. So it's gonna be the new Christmas tree at Sunset Park.
Okay.
So that's not included in.
Who authorized that? I like the old Christmas tree. It's big.
Yeah, I went in front of the Parks and Rec committee, the only yard, so.
I can
Now,
speak,
Pete's already gone. See, he always leaves when it's his
I
turn.
can speak to that. As the advisory member, that is the tree ultimately to replace the other one because it will hit end of life.
Oh, I
And
got
the
this.
other,
Speaking of.
yeah,
Yeah,
so this will be the future Christmas tree.
nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
They're planning ahead.
Okay, are they putting it back to the other side where there was 3 in a row there behind the cabin then, Bob, or what are they doing?
I don't remember where.
It's one tree, we don't know exactly.
No, I understand. Well, we got a lot of issue in the middle of that park. That's why I've never been able to do anything there because
Exactly.
you've got all kinds of, city stuff there too, for one thing. So,
Exactly. I think we're gonna put it pretty close to where the current tree is. At
Okay.
least that's what I perceive the best location.
Yeah.
And then just let it grow and mature, and as the current tree eventually fails or needs to be removed, we have one in its place.
send the other one down to Washington or Lansing for
You got
their
it.
75 for Christmas.
That's-
I'm good.
Okay, do you know what the budgeted amount was for this initiative?
I could give you the number, it's well more than what this number is.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
I think.
20 something, I think, 25.
Okay. And then he already got the one tree per household address. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, was there ever a tree advisory committee group created, established?
Yes, Gal Litzenberg in charge of that.
Okay, were they involved in this at all?
Not yet, but they will be today. Gal's waiting on standby to help
Okay.
me mark these locations and determine, and I'm gonna determine one, if they should. Not everybody who calls and gets a request in is gonna get a tree going forward.
Okay, and that was my only question is because I just put here. The intention of them being involved was the intention of creating them because they were the tree gurus, experts on, yes, this is a good species that can grow at this address where. This person's requesting something that's gonna be dead in 2 years, we shouldn't put a
Exactly.
$700 or $300 tree.
Yep.
So.
And that's why he's helping me with species. As a matter of fact, he has been consulted on the species list when I went out to bid on this. And I put it out to, and this could be answering a little bit to Sandy's questioning of, hey, how come we didn't get all these nurseries and, bid in it? It's because I weaned the list down. I don't want to have 50 species. I want to have 6 or 8 based on my discussions with God. And these are the real species we want to have for our street trees that will make sense for our area.
Right,
And so that could be some of the reason as to why we may have one bid.
okay, awesome, I'm full support. Yeah,
One follow-up to yours, Doug, we talked about this last year and you just want to bring it back up to the forefront. So, because Tim asked a good question, on the, so the one per household. And you're going out to coordinate with Gal on Waco Square and everything. But we also did say that because we don't take charge of these after they're planted. So it's the homeowner's duty to take care of it. So I just want to make sure that we're going to continue to document that if they don't take care of the tree, they're not getting another tree.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what we're gonna be doing. As a matter of fact, I had last year's requests.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy just asked for this tree last year and look, it's already dead.
Yeah.
That kind of thing is happening right now.
Yeah,
And it's never happened, so.
yeah, okay.
Commissioner Lance,
No, you guys already asked all my questions, so I'm good.
Commissioner Farrell.
Questions answered. Thank you.
All right.
Can I make a motion to approve the purchase order contract with Robinson's Landscaping and Nursery for the 25-26 tree planting in an amount not to exceed $19,000 based on average price and selections to be determined. Further, I recommend the city manager to execute the documents.
Support. Go ahead, I didn't say it's. Just friendly amendment, should we add city clerk treasurer to that?
I thought about that as I was reading it. so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a support, seconded, I think, Bob, did you acknowledge that friendly amendment?
Yes, I do.
To add city clerk, right? Commissioner Moody was. Further discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Richard,
Hi,
Lassiter,
Aye.
motion's carried.
Thank you. Moving on to the FAA tree compliance project. Is this you, John, or Doug?
This is me, yes.
Yeah.
Like me to read.
I mean, you could read it. I think we kind of already got into a discussion on it a little bit during the city manager's report.
Yeah,
Let's just pick up there. Commissioner Pritchard, did you have?
go
I didn't
ahead,
want to cut you off earlier.
go ahead.
So I'll kick us off with some questions that I have. I guess before I do that, any public comment, questions, concerns on agenda item 10E? This is the FAA tree compliance project. This is the tree trimming and cutting up by the airport. Okay, I'll close public comment. The questions I had, John, were the additional $10,000. Is this coming out of the $275,000 that the airport board currently has?
it certainly can. That'll be a discussion for the topic for discussion Thursday night with the airport advisory board.
Okay,
On those
because
numbers.
I'm in total favor of that. The last airport advisory board I went to, they were talking about the 275, and I think we need to start really showing them that 275 can be gone very quickly if we address all of their concerns and got them from a temporary license to a permanent license.
Yes.
So I think it's most appropriate to make sure that the billing and expenses are coming out of that 275.
Yes, sir.
And I just have a little notation here right after the $10,000 in the recommendation and before the four, I just have coming from the airport funds. For whoever wants to make a motion when it comes. I would be in full support of this, with that being said in mind. Commissioner Moody?
Yeah, that was, I'm right on that track, because I was gonna say, this needs to be tabled until next year, if this is out of, normal, tree work, because we've already blown through that budget and then some. And, so, yeah, if this is, allocated, it's not an if they want it finalized, it's coming out of the airport budget, period. That's my thought.
This is,
Can't speak for all of us, but yeah, that's in full support of that, so.
Commissioner Lassiter?
Yeah, I agree. It should come out of their coffers, but I'm just curious, how did we miss this the first time?
there's a lot of congestion of the trees that are in there and where Thompson Street is. And the property that's actually, Mr. Moody, you and I talked about that one property back there, high density of trees. And then there are a couple, there's an undeveloped alley that moves between two properties that are on Thompson and Brockway. And to get equipment through there is kind of dicey, so it's a little bit more, there was a manual driven area back there, and there are still a couple trees because of the proximity to the homes and fencing and structures. They're gonna need to get a crane in there to be able to securely remove those trees, and these are some of the significantly tallest trees that were there.
Okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farrell?
I'm in favor of moving forward. Again, with any allocation coming out of city coffers, it needs to identify where it's coming from. And I would be supportive of the airport advisory board funding this activity. Plus, from an expense perspective, it all relates to their operation, so it should always be there.
Did you have anything before I skip over?
I do, and I'm glad George asked the question because that's mine. It goes back to my original question with regard to how did we miss it? And I guess I didn't hear clearly how that could be. Are we though going to change the LiDAR map to reflect what actually we're doing?
Once this is done with the tree clearing and the line of trees that are inside the fenceway up to the one of the power shed. When that's complete, I will schedule an appointment with the aeronautics officer to come back show him exactly what was done. I've spoken to multiple pilots and they are ecstatic from the safety that we built into this. Like, I understand where it's coming out of the airport operations, that's not a problem, but we did have a significant safety concern. I cannot guarantee that he's going to say it's fine with with the east end of the runway, but coming in, given the power lines, and what I'd like to do is then come up with, working with MDOT to say, this is going to be our ongoing maintenance program. How can we best gauge going on? But I'm hopeful that when the aeronautics officer comes in, they're going to agree, they'll sign off for provisional. We will have established a sort of a maintenance review program for foliage on the approach on both ends of the runway. And we'll see what our report turns out. The other things inside, the little things, those we're going to pass. We're good. Those have been repaired.
Are these additional trees on public or private property?
They are both, actually. There's some in that alley, and that each of the residents are aware of it. They've been spoken to. Everything is fine. So yes, the residents.
I'm looking at it differently, is that we have been, as a city, have decided that we will be paying for any tree removal, capping, or whatever, whether it's on public or private property.
We have to do this because it is an FAA requirement.
You understand what I'm saying? Yes, well, it has to be done. Yes, who pays for it's another story. And the bottom line is the city is going to continue to pay for capping, topping, or whatever of trees that are in any of the approach for the airport,
Based on
whether
your
public
fellow-
or private.
Yes, based on your fellow commissioners who will be coming out of airport operations.
Anything else? I'll make a motion that the city commission approve the proposal from All Aspects Forestry LLC in the amount of $10,000 coming from the airport funds for the removal of additional trees as part of the FAA tree compliance project, and authorize the city manager and or city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documents. Support. Further discussion? Roll call please, Jessica.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
Aye.
Pritchard, Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
motion's carried.
Moving on to agenda item 10F, marina slips, marina seasonal slips.
Really just an informational memo.
Yep. Anything you want to talk to before I go to public comment, Jessica? I mean, Jen, I'm so sorry.
Okay. This is really just so that way you guys are aware of how we determine the slip locations this year.
Yep.
For seasonals, because I have sent out that email, people have been made aware of their slip assignments, and I've had some responses, so just this way, if you get anything from anybody, you know what they're talking about and why.
Okay, thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Going to the public for public comment, questions, concerns. I'm gonna close public comment and go to the board for deliberation. I think I started with everyone first. I'll just go back to myself and restart over. I don't have any questions. I just got kudos. Big thank you to Ralph and Jen. But also Mark. Mark has been very helpful behind the scenes and has added a great amount of value to the conversation this year in relation to the marina agenda topics. From the conversation, the value he added to the conversation of the project that we were doing with DDOT and EDOT and the transition there and everything. I just truly appreciate his conversation, the value he adds to the conversation. I appreciate the letter that you guys sent out. Have you guys received any negative feedback yet?
I haven't received positive feedback yet.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I have received negative feedback.
Okay. Okay, has it, and the only question why is it's kind of a rhetorical question. I don't mean that in a negative way. Of course, change, everyone struggles with change, including myself. I have to stop and reflect multiple times throughout my day and week of, am I just being crabby pants because it's change, or is there a valid reason for me to be opposing whatever I'm opposing? But with that being said, do you think those negative comments or that feedback is going to impact any revenue? ultimately, do you see any seasonal slip holders saying, well, this isn't for me, I'm pulling out? I wouldn't anticipate that knowing how competitive it is, but do you fear that?
Nobody has threatened it
Okay.
yet to me. I know a couple of the comments I received is, well, did you consider tenure as part of it? Nope. I considered boat length.
No, I appreciate that, because that was kind of that was the direction from the commission. And the intention behind that was to drive revenue increase, so.
And unfortunately, because the slips are now longer, I have less 30-foot slips. So the way we figured it out was we just listed the boats, shortest to longest, looked at the slips, filled them in that order.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I think that's very fair and consistent. I appreciate it. Thank you. Full support of nothing, because we're not supporting.
Yeah.
I just appreciate that, Dave.
Just so you know what.
Commissioner Moody.
Yeah, no, thanks very much, Jen. It's a great update and, this is exactly what we've been asking for, and staying on top of this is huge. And, you know, I didn't need to go back up, but you know, any pushback, it's so big, there's someone waiting out there. So it's, I mean, it's, you know, it's just the way it's gotta be. We gotta run the business, and that's not always gonna make friends. So.
Commissioner Pritchard.
Thank you for all your work. That's all I got.
Commissioner Farrell.
I'm thankful somebody out there is paying attention, so thank you.
Commissioner Lester.
Yeah, helpful update. In case you get any questions that we'll answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to agenda item 10G, crack ceiling on main runway. Take us away, John.
Yes, this was brought up at the joint session between the Airport Advisory Board and the Commission. One of the issues, this is not an FAA issue. This is because it was typically it's a PCI rating, a pavement condition index. And those are very expensive. Those are done in your larger commercial airports. And but we have done this before. The last time it was done was 11,400, so it is more expensive now. 13,500 was the one that we recommended. The cracks in some places are approaching three inches, and the concern from the pilots when they're coming in is some of the wheels, especially when what they call tail draggers, are at risk. So this is something that would definitely need to be done. And then anything else that we would do next year, whether it be the ceiling and the striping, I did speak to different pilots and they said the striping is fine. Let's go ahead and get through the season, and then we'll reevaluate when the budget's put out for the next fiscal year.
Thank you, sir. Going to the public for public comment, questions, concerns. The closed public comment, go to the board for deliberations, start with Commissioner Lassiter.
Yeah, this is actually great to see that we're you know, for a joint meeting with the airport board, that we did just give them lip service that we're actually dealing with the problems that they have, and teaming up to help them to take care of, frankly, the whole city's assets. So I'm perfectly good with it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farrell.
Maintenance has been my hallmark, so thank you for addressing the maintenance item. We shouldn't have to wait this long to do that, and hopefully when we get into the SIP planning, that these type of things can be done routinely as opposed to once in a decade or longer to occur. My only comment would be that we identify the fund where that's coming from as the airport. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, those are the only comments and questions I have here. I agree with Commissioner Farrell's comments on we shouldn't have waited this long, especially with the safety aspect in mind, with the tail draggers. The questions I have on my paper here is where are these funds coming from? Coming from airport fund of 275,000. And then I have a second note here next to the recommendation of support with expenses being tied to the airport. So I'm in full support with that caveat. Commissioner Moody.
Agree with the airport tie-in. I questioned why we weren't doing it when it came to us back in, it was in late January, early February. It was ridiculous that we weren't doing this. But that was the previous administration, didn't think that we needed it. it's been, all it's doing is getting worse. And as, you know, Bob said, these things, you know, this is stuff, this is the stuff that won't cost you as much now, you know, but that was the past administration. Let's just be reactionary and not be proactive. And can't say it better than Bob said about being excited about being proactive and, you know, having the SIP plan and making sure all these things are taken care of. And the only other caveat has already been said twice, you know, this gets charged to the airport board. So, or not the board. Okay.
Right.
You know,
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Commissioner Pritchard.
I'm glad we're addressing the long-standing issue, and that is fundamentally a safety issue that should be at the top of our list of any city commission meeting. Safety should be preeminent, always. Support.
Make a motion that the city commission approve the quote from Wolverine Seal Coating LLC to clean and fill the cracks on the main runway in amount not to exceed $13,500, with funding for this expense coming from the airport funds, and authorize city manager and or city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documentation.
Support.
Further discussion? Roll call please, Jessica.
Moody,
Aye.
Pritchard,
Aye.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye,
Farrell,
Aye.
the motion's carried.
thank you. How's it going, Doug? Take us
Back
away.
again.
It's going. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just kind of highlight real what's here, just to give you guys a quick rundown. A water main potential water leak was reported on Michigan Ave, approximately a couple weeks ago, around September 16th. I went and checked it out right away. I thought right away, I had the guys look at it, the staff. I said, can you guys at least test it? Let's make sure. I was told there's some history there, potentially this is groundwater. At that point, I wasn't concerned because we tested 5 different locations, 0 chlorine. To me, that means it's probably is groundwater. I saw a guy had this enormous pond in his backyard, water feature the whole 9 yards, thought maybe the liner might be an issue, that kind of thing. I, of course, being proactive, decided might be a good idea to call somebody in case this turns into a water leak. So I got on the phone with Matt's Underground, knowing that they installed this. They actually had somebody respond. They sent someone from their team out that same week. I think 1 or 2 days later, he met me out there at the site. He kind of agreed with me. The gentleman, I think his name was Isaac. He agreed with me, my assessment, and said, it doesn't appear to be a water main leak. I wanted a second opinion also. But at the same time, when I get a second opinion, this DPW director and utilities director says, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Just in case. And so I wanted to make sure they would have somebody available. Long story short, it did turn into a water leak Friday. Of course, on a Friday, it always happens that way. Friday, I assessed it again. I had our team come out. It was percolating much stronger. Let's put it that way. It takes a while for these things to show themselves on the other side of the guy's driveway even. So we tested that. It had chlorine, got on the phone with Matt's Underground. They said, yeah, we can have well points there pretty quickly. They installed them that day, knowing that they were going to have to fight groundwater to make this repair, knowing that our team could not have done this in any way, shape, or form. We had hoped that we could get through the weekend. Did not happen. The guys came in and knocked it out. The crew from Matt's Underground on a Saturday made the repair. This probably, in my opinion, should have happened quite some time ago, but my recommendation, as you can see, is that the city commission is in a position here to appoint Matt's Underground as the contractor of record for all water and sewer main emergency repairs, and authorize the city manager or city clerk treasurer to execute necessary documentation. This is something, in my opinion, for a community this size with only 3 water and wastewater operators, should have happened about 20 years ago. Long overdue. You need a team that you can call, who can mobilize. These guys are the A team, in my opinion. They have well points. They like I said, their work speaks for itself just in this incident right here. That's why I detailed it out the way I did. And he's here now. Matt from Matt's Underground is actually in the room. So he's here to kind of answer any questions. He's provided us with a similar agreement that they have with Minnesota Area Water and Sewer Authority. Again, they're in a similar situation. A couple, 3 staff, miles and miles of water main, thousands of service leads. So that can be something you can kind of look over to see an example of what we would want to have going forward with Point City. I'm here to answer any questions, as is meant.
Thank you, sir. Any public comment, questions, concerns?
Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I just wanted to point out that the agreement that's in there, city attorney has not looked at it yet. It's just a sample for agreement from another municipality. But I do have municipal experience with Matt's company and, as well as feedback from multiple engineers. This is the one that I've worked with in the past, and they are the premier outfit. And we're not talking, I know the way this, in terms of fiscal responsibility, they are also the most aggressively priced that I've seen. But the key to Matt's Underground is the ability, because these things typically fail on Easter Sunday or Christmas Eve. And they have the team ready to mobilize on site before we have either an Eagle issue, an EPA issue, or something like that. They're on scene, stop it, clean it, repair it, and move on. Outstanding company, my highest recommendation.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Matt, would you like to add anything?
I don't know where to start, so, we've been, are any of you familiar with our outfit?
I see your trucks, but that's about it.
Yeah, so.
Do you want to come up to the podium so the
This will pick
people
you
at
up
home
on
can
the
hear?
recording.
So, thanks for having me today. So we're an underground utility contractor. I started this out of the front seat of my pickup. Thought I was gonna be a mechanic, changed my, not a pipe guy. So I learned, this is, our job is to be a service contractor. We don't serve, we don't have a job. Excuse me. So we don't bid a lot of projects as a prime contractor. We mainly focus on service work. We have a lot of different irons in the fire. We're very diversified. The last count was, I think we had 67 employees. So we've got a pretty good sized group of technicians that can do this stuff. The biggest part, we do site excavation, directional drilling, pipeline. We're licensed master plumber. We have all our own hydrovacs, dewatering stuff, trench boxes, sheet piling, cranes. We're not as large as like a Elmer's, but we can compete in the same market if need be. We do a lot of work as a subcontractor, so that's why you don't see us as a prime very often unless it's a project that's completely in our wheelhouse, and we like to not outsource any more than we have to. Usually electrical is most of the time what you see on lift stations and stuff like that. So what we're talking about here for you guys is really in our wheelhouse. We have multiple standing contracts with different municipalities, for instance, Mansell Area Water and Sewer, Village of Kalkaska, Lake Mitchell Sewer Authority. There's quite a long list of different references I can send you if need be, from our past experience. And we keep these contracts, not just to, this is, one of the things that when Doug and I talked yesterday, this isn't a contract where we're looking to secure X amount of work, or we don't have a retainer. A lot of companies that like do the stuff that we do, keep a retainer, so like an attorney does. That's really not our goal. Our goal is to, we have a kind of a handshake loyalty. If you call me at 3 a.m, give me a chance at 3 p.m. We have people on staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We've worked every holiday, that's just part of the deal. Christmas, New Year's, 4th of July. I mean, it's all, right in our wheelhouse. That's when problems happen. So we're staffed up for that. We're prepared for it. We keep equipment on standby. We have a full on-call system that can get to more than one person if need be at 3 a.m. We have material that we keep on standby in different locations. We have probably more water main repair fittings or widgets than any one supplier in the state. I mean, we have a pipe yard, we have an aggregate pit, and then we keep different spots of, with stone and different things in different locations. We keep trucks on standby at all times. We have a warehouse set up on it for winter work where all of our hydrovacs, steamers, jetters, 3 different size directional drills, different stuff that's staged in a heated building just so it's prepped and ready. We have high volume load points so we can load water tanks faster. we have disposal pits in different locations, so we can dispose of things properly. So there's, you know, like I said, without getting into all the semantics of everything, I mean, we're pretty well geared for this type of work. We've done work for you guys for years over, you know, on an on-call basis. All this does as a formality is puts, you know, insurances and contact information in place so that when it's 3 a.m, everybody knows who to call and where to just, you know, deploy things to. So,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
Going to the public for public comment, questions, concerns. Closing public comment, going to the board for deliberation. Who would like to start first?
I can,
Last item, I think we've been all over the place.
I can start.
Neighborhood.
Thank you for being here today. I know I've been by your facility in Mantalona, other places.
We have a couple different properties. We have like I said, we have our aggregate pit storage yard, the way the pipe yard,
Mhm.
close by, about 2 miles away. But that's the main facility. That's we
Okay.
run everything. That's our office and maintenance facility. Everything's run out of
You've grown immensely.
Yeah.
I've watched the change over the last 10 years, so thank you. I didn't have any other questions. I like the fact that we have a preferred vendor and that the insurances and other pieces are in place before the need. So that's a good thing. Thank you.
Could you see yourself in support of the?
Yes.
recommend- Okay,
Yep. I'm supportive.
Commissioner Lassiter.
I guess, yeah, the only question I had is, you know, should this be looked at by Matt before we pull the trigger on it?
Yeah, I got
It would
that
have-
question, and to be honest, that will be a stipulation of my
Sure.
support moving forward with the motion today, that it does get reviewed by Matt.
Can I say something real quick? Sorry to interrupt.
Absolutely.
That contract was not, we didn't issue that to our customer. That was something that their legal department put together. And I just use that as an example of one that we had on, you know, on file. Again, each one of those has its own different terminology. There's different contractual obligations we have in different spots. Different timelines, different references. I mean, it's kind of each municipality has their own flavor. So
Right.
again, that was just an example. So those can be adjusted as needed, you know, if we need to negotiate those farther, but
Thank you for the input.
Do you have a draft document that you provide on request?
not generally.
Okay,
We went to, actually,
that's good. That's okay.
we have a standard master service agreement that we use for people that we hire, like as a service agreement for like a subcontractor.
Mhm.
But we don't, as a contract, when it comes to municipal stuff, usually you guys have got more documentation that you want, so it's easier for us.
It's usually our issue that
Usually,
yours.
yes, usually, yeah, the burden's kind of on you, to tell me what you want versus the other way around.
Okay.
Since you're my customer.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah, I mean, I'll just be quick. I'm in full support only if the city attorney does have an opportunity to review it, give his blessings on it. Just a quick draft motion that I have here is basically city administration share the draft agreement with the city attorney for review. If there is no concerns from the city attorney and he agrees the terms of the contract are favorable to the city of Point City, I further recommend. And then I would just spell out the recommendation you provided, which gives the city administration an opportunity to share. You know, the great thing is he gave us Mansalona. Give that to the city attorney, because then that will reduce the billable hours from him having to just create an agreement.
Well, I'll convert it to MS Word as well.
Right, absolutely. And then, you know, we can kind of go from there. But I'm in support of the intention of what you're trying to do, fully support that. I need to be secured by the city attorney review. And I'll keep it. And the only other thing is, I put here, thank you. Can you please extend a thank you to your crew that came in on Saturday and worked until 11 p.m. on Saturday night? I really appreciate them doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I said that, Matt is here.
Just point of clarification, we've got a resolution attached here.
Yeah.
So would it be the resolution or the other vehicle? Or is it both? To appoint Mass Underground as contractor of record for water main and sewer main emergency repairs.
Yeah, that would be the resolution then upon the city attorney.
Yeah. So my
A resolution is different than an agreement.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
So I'm not sure what we're being asked to do.
Yeah, do we need, is the resolution even something that's applicable or appropriate? I would honestly think that.
No, your motion would be all that we would need for direction and as you stated in your motion, if the attorney is ready, we'll execute the contract and we're done. We can negate the resolution.
Okay,
Thank you.
good point. Did you go?
Yeah.
Committee.
Matt, appreciate the kind of work you do. This is not directed at you. I have no problem with entering into something like this. This would be more for you, Doug. I would not want to see this turn into, we'll call the guy. We'll just call the guy. Yeah, we don't want to deal with it. Call the guy. Okay. My only issue right now, it's kind of hard to call the guy. It's way down the line. Again, nothing against you, man, nothing at all. I'm saying, you know, this protocol still needs to, you know, all the steps that you had to go to call the guy still need to stay in place. And that's my only concern is that this gets abused and it's just easier to just call Matt, you know, we're too busy to call Matt. So. My only concern.
Very valid concern, and just to kind of get it on the record right now for us to kind of baseline this, can you give us an example of how many times on an annual basis you have called Matt or a similar capacity service provider?
Yeah, so we've, since I've been here, which is again, only 2.5 years.
Yep.
There's a water main break and it's big, i.e. I'll give an example of the one that happened on Lake Street over by the 1910 building where the road did one of these and started waving. Generally, our staff is not equipped to do that. And that's gonna be where if you have a contractor of record, they can't do it, they know they can't do it, call somebody that can. That's how this is gonna work. If we can do it, we do it. If we can't do it, we bring in the big guns. That's how this will work.
So in a year, how many times would you have to call the big guns in?
On average, it's probably less than 3.
Okay, that's good. That's all I need. It's not like every question or anything.
Yep.
It's just a document.
We can't predict with the water system though, because.
No, absolutely, absolutely. But to
Understood.
Commissioner Moody's point, if we see 12 in 3 years, we could say, wait, we went from 3 to 7 to 12. Are we just calling the guy now?
Yeah.
And that's why I just wanted to baseline there.
Yeah, I mean, we might, this one is an example that I gave that I
Yeah.
knew that you need well points. There's a lot of groundwater going city. If you need well points, guess who Monti's gonna call if they need well points? They're gonna call this guy standing to my right because they don't have the set. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
We're trying to make things more efficient.
Understood.
thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Moody?
No, I'm good.
Commissioner Pritchard?
I guess I'm trying to understand what you're trying to achieve by this. First of all, thank you, Matt. I mean, and for the 3 times or 4 times or 6 times that you've come out. And it sounds like you are the classic American entrepreneur that's done good, you know, in terms of 67 people and all that's grown to be. And I'm sure the community in Mansalona appreciates you as well. But I'm trying to figure out what problem I'm trying to solve. And back to Marty's point, I guess the process today works. The guys know what they're capable of and know their limitations, and sometimes it gets away. So first off, I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish. Secondly, we don't have any additional information about the commercial piece of this in terms of conditions, billing rates. They may be the only one, somebody in town, but maybe not. So I guess that's a concern for me, is that we don't have the commercial piece done. I don't understand enough about the business. I won't pretend to, or the nature of your work. To also ask about whether there are any drawings or documents created of any work that you perform and anything that you put in, because that has been one of the biggest issues slowing down our CW SRF project, is we don't have documentation of what's done at the end of the day. So I personally am not support of doing anything on this today, other than understand you're the guy that our folks prefer to deal with, and that's where I sit. Who do you regard, by the way, as your worthy competitors?
I mean, and well, not only are they our competitors, but we work for them.
as a customer, as a vendor, like, I mean, Elmer's, Monte,
But they have the same ability to respond like you do,
no,
because they're gonna come back to you.
well. All right,
So they
I
pick up.
gotta take this another level, I gotta break it down a little bit farther, so to understand why we're a little bit different. So. Does everyone understand what HDPE is? Polypipe?
Mhm.
All right, so
Unfortunately, we do.
don't you say that. My motto is if you can't use it, don't use it. So, there's a. So polypipe is the new thing that everyone's using because it works. The big garbage mound out in the ocean is floating around because it doesn't break down. It's the same reason that we put it in for water and sewer and chemicals and everything else. So, like I said, I learned how to fuse pipe a long time ago. I worked for a pipeline company right out of high school. They said, do this till I tell you to stop. It was just something I knew how to do. We now are the largest fusion contractor in the Midwest. We've got like 160 fusion machines. We do 1/2 inch through 72 inch. Most companies like Elmer's, Montage, DJ McQuestion, all these big dirt contractors that do this pipe and do water mains, sewer mains, have a couple guys that work for them that'll fuse pipe. And then occasionally they'll send them to get certified when they get a project that goes on. So we've kind of flipped that around. We fuse pipe everywhere all the time. All the directional drilling, the digging, the sheet piling, trench boxes, back trucks, all that stuff is in support of the pipe work. So I've got skilled pipe fitters that go, at any given time, I've got 1 to 15 guys working for all the big contractors all over doing some of their pipe work or doing portions of their job. So, like I said before, we're a subcontractor. We go in and, they use us for what they need us for. And that because we keep all of our certifications current, we keep all our, all the different things that need to happen are all current all the time. Our equipment's ready to go. So when it comes to a job to respond like that, they can, but they're not, for instance, I use Elmer's as an example because everyone's familiar with them. They're a large contractor. They're very capable of doing any of those tasks, but they don't keep that staffing on ready 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They do for Traverse City, or people where they're very close to, but they don't have those resources available all the time for different places. Because we have folks like you guys that have our, need our services, we keep that, we call it the big red machine that's sitting there ready to go at any given time. And so that's why it works. It's because of our redundancy and our ability to respond. If you need, if I have to put 5 excavators on the job right now and I got to pull 3D watering systems and have them in because we have a major blowout and multiple vac units, multiple skilled pipe fitters, and guess what? We're going to run around the clock, so I got to be able to rotate those guys out and get them some relief. I've got enough redundant equipment and manpower to cover that. We've amplified small portions of what the big guys do, I guess, is to answer that question.
Well, basically, you're telling me you're the nimble guy, and that you do not have an equivalent, and that's awesome. Because again, that's how you grew your business. I'm going to come back, and no offense to you.
Yep.
Simply, what are we trying to accomplish here? And if we've got a relatively, I guess, if we need to put in terms and conditions for the relationship, so be it. But I'm not sure what we're trying to accomplish here.
What we're trying to accomplish is essentially the water team, the water staff knows who to call, calls them, and they come in. We're skipping the middleman of, oh, go get 3 quotes and it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you got a water main break. They just have somebody they can call who they know will respond, who is the contractor of record for Boyne City, like Petoskey has, like Traverse City has, like East Point has, like every other city around in Northwest Michigan. You don't have 50 people you can call in a yellow phone book and say, hey, you do water main breaks? It just doesn't work that.
I got that.
I wish it did.
So basically, it even becomes more important that the commercial relationship be nailed down, and that's clearer. And then the next part of it, as you say, is that you're basically asking for a single source agreement, or an authorization to single source.
Correct.
Okay.
One of the things, I add one thing to that. One of the things that becomes really helpful is the logistics of getting all that on-call stuff and all of the, our insurance requirements, and all the legal part of it, our master service agreement,
annually is done, so we're, everybody's doing this legally, we both understand what our expectation is. The biggest thing. And it actually benefits us almost as much as it benefits you, is our folks that are getting called in. If just hypothetically, if I call in one of our teams that's been working on a job and they're in West Virginia and they just came back off a job and I bring them in and I'm like, hey, they happen to be on the on-call rotation. And I drop them in and they haven't been working up here with Doug, or they don't know, that team doesn't know who the people on the DPW are, or where where your valves are, how your GIS system works, or, all of those logistics that we would count on you guys for. Having that relationship ahead of time, having all the information, who's like all of our on-call lists and, who's who, who's what, who's capable of doing what, who can make a decision on the fly. All of that information is established up front instead of, us, when Doug calls and says, can you do this? Yes. Okay, and then we come up and look at it, figure it out, and then I decide what I'm gonna put on it. And, there's a certain level of formality that we're basically putting away and saying, okay, we now have a relationship. We understand what everybody's expectation is on both ends. And we're not doing this at 3 a.m. or on Christmas Day. That's really why, this isn't a financial obligation for you. You don't owe me a dime until I come do something. So that's to try and understand what would be the reason to say we do this up front and put this in a formal setting.
It's a single source. I get it.
Yep.
Alrighty. Bob, you went too, right? Yeah, you
Yeah, I
said.
already went. Yep.
I'll make a motion that the city administration share a draft agreement with the city attorney for review. There is no concerns from that city attorney, and he agrees with the terms of the contract are favorable to the city of Boyne City. I further recommend the city commission appoint Max Underground as a contractor of record for water and sewer main emergency repairs, and authorize the city manager and or city clerk treasurer to execute the necessary documents.
Sport.
Further discussion?
For reasons stated, without knowing the commercial terms, I'm not sure how we can do that. The commercial terms mean rates, terms, conditions. Sorry.
I
It's
mean,
okay, it's there. I'm just making a comment.
No, I
Your
agree,
second.
but I understand your comment. I personally think that those commercial terms or commercial rates will consistently fluctuate. Depending on material costs, tariff impacts, labor costs, so on and so forth. So to be able to pin that down infinitely, I think would be very difficult for all parties involved. But I do understand the concern. I do. Anything else for discussion? Roll call, please, Jessica.
Richard,
Aye.
Lassiter,
Aye.
Nemecheck,
Aye.
Farrell,
Aye.
Moody,
All right.
the motion's carried.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Doug. I think that was the last item. We didn't have anything carry over from the agenda or the consent agenda. Good of the order. Who's got good of the order?
No.
No.
What's the order?
No. Alrighty, the only other thing, announcements, the next regular city commission meeting is scheduled for October 14th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And just wanted to also talk about the Harvest Fest. When's the Harvest?
27, 9 to 3 p.m.
27th, Harbor Fest, 27th. Anyone else have anything for announcements?
I just have a question. Is the airport meeting tonight or tomorrow?
It's tonight, 5:30.
Thursday night, I believe.
Yeah, it's always on Thursday.
It's always
Just going on,
Thursday,
city
but
manager report
Thank
said
you.
it's 23rd at 5:30.
Did it say 20? It's Thursday night.
Okay. Okay.
because it was talking about shifting the venue and it implied that it wasn't, this space was not available.
Right, it's at the airport. I went to the airport today to ensure that room was set up, so we'll be at the airport Thursday night.
Broadcasted? John,
Pardon me?
it's gonna be broadcasted?
I don't know. There's something going on in here. I'll see if I can take the owl and set up.
Oh, okay, so, okay. All right.
It is gonna be here, just a
I get what you're saying.
Conflict tonight.
Okay, alrighty.
I had something for you after, but
Okay. Anyone else have anything for announcements? Alrighty, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Support. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay.